Happy Tuesday, folks. Welcome back to #AskGSM here today for Tuesday, July 22nd. Almost said Wednesday. It's been almost 6 months since we first brought the show live here on the channel, and I'm still kind of getting in the habit of saying Tuesday instead of Wednesday. But I guess that's what happens when you do the show on Wednesdays for, 9 years straight almost. Hope you guys are doing well. Thank you for watching live. Always appreciate it. As you could probably tell from the headline, that was a great question from Richie, who we'll get to in a second. He had a great TNA question. We have actually a lot of TNA questions here today. So if you are a TNA fan, used to be a TNA fan, are still seething over what we saw on Sunday night at TNA Slammiversary with Trick Williams retaining the TNA World Championship, as I was, I know Richie was as well. We were texting about it on Sunday night as he was leaving the show. Then you're in the right place. You came here at the perfect time. We have a lot of TNA talk here today on the show, among many other questions to answer here on the episode. So thank you so much for watching live. Like I said, I greatly appreciate it. Hope you guys are having a great week so far. Couple housekeeping things before we get going here. That being our shout-outs to our channel members. Shout-out to our channel members, Alexis, Miss Mon Matthews, the aforementioned Richie, by the way. Check him out here on YouTube. Red Planet Wrestling does a lot of great playthroughs and play-alongs and stuff like that. Other great channel content as well. Check him out. Also, shout-out to Dillon, DiGiacomo, Mrs. Renee, DJ Swerve1, at Swerve1 on the IG. W-O-N, that is. Follow him there. Daniel Malcolm, a man at letter I, letter M, quarter on X. I'm quarter on X. Mr. Marceau, who's on vacation right now. Shout out to Mr. Marceau, who will not be joining me on Thursday for WrestleRant Radio. More on that momentarily. But at RJ_Marceau on the Twitter machine, follow him there. John Ritland, check him out here on YouTube. Real Honesty with John Ritland. And last but not least, Average Grunt, at the Average Grunt on X. Follow him on over there. If you want to sign up for a channel membership, $5 a month gets you the All Access Pass channel membership here on the channel. You get top billing on shows like #AskGSM and WrestleRant Radio. So, for example, Richie sent in a question this week pertaining to the TNA partnership. I thought it was such a great question, I put it as the headline of the video. But when I say top billing, I mean you get your questions answered first. If you're a channel member, you get your questions answered before anyone else if you sent them in ahead of time. You also get badges and I merged badges and emojis there. Badges. You get badges and emojis in the live chats. Access to those for all these live streams that we do here on the channel. These shout outs at the beginning and end of every single live stream that we do. Early and ad-free access to certain videos. So, for example, I put up my Becky Lynch book review on Sunday, a book I've been in the process of reading for about a year and a half now. And I only really started it about a year ago. I didn't really get into fully reading it until legitimately like 2.5 weeks ago. But as I explained here on the show recently, I'm still without a car at the moment. Just the whole fucking process. It's been a pain in the ass. But because I've been without a car, I've been having to do a lot of like passenger seat, riding and whatnot. It's allowed me to do a lot more reading. So I've taken the time that I would be driving and doing more reading, and it's been actually quite nice. Finished the book, reviewed it on Sunday, and my whole point is that story. The channel members got early access to that video a few hours before it went live for everyone else. So a lot of great perks on that. More information down below in the description box if you are indeed inclined to support the channel, support me, support everything here on the WrestleRant channel that we do. $5 a month. It gets you a lot of great perks. More information on that down below in the description box. If you want to send in a question ahead of time, you can do so by tweeting me on the Twitter machine for this very show at WrestleRant with the #AskGSM. Find me on Facebook as well, facebook.com/Graham.GSM.Matthews. Drop a question on the post that I usually put up on Monday nights, if not on the wall itself. And last but certainly not least, drop your question down below in the comment section on this very video. I'll include your question in next week's edition. But if you are watching live, I'll include your question as we get going here. I'll look at the chat in just a moment. I'll answer your question in just a few moments. So, obviously, if you are inclined to send in a question during today's episode, I will answer it in the live chat. So thank you so much for supporting the show. And at the very least, if you want to support the channel, be sure to like this video. That would be greatly appreciated. Subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the thumbs up, obviously the like button, but hit the bell button to be notified every single time we go live here on the channel and every single time we upload new content. One last thing here before we get going. As far as the next time that will be live here on the channel after today. Of course, WrestleRant Radio coming up on Thursday. Mr. Marceau, as I mentioned a moment ago, on vacation this week, enjoying himself with his wife. All more power to him. Hope he's having an awesome week and enjoying himself. I forgot where he said he was going, but he said, I think he said he was leaving on Sunday, this past Sunday, to enjoy his vacation week. So I think I'll be seeing him on Saturday. If I can get my car back in time, our hope is we've been planning this for like a month now, for me to go visit him and for us to see F1 among other Boys' Day activities on Saturday. So that's the hope. That's only if I get my car back, though. So let's all join in a prayer circle and get that going so I can go see Mr. Marceau on Saturday and soon see Richie as well. We've been trying to plan that for a while. Entirely my fault. I've had car issues because I haven't had a fucking car in like 2-3 weeks. But anyway, the process is just taking a whole lot longer than it should. What I was going to say was on Thursday, no Mr. Marceau, but I'm going to be bringing in a friend as a co-host for this Thursday's episode, if you guys are interested. His name's Tommy Bechtold. He was on WrestleRant Radio previously. Had him on the show about 3 years ago. I've had him here on the channel a few different times. I interviewed him a few years back. He was here on WrestleRant Radio. He's a wrestling fan in addition to being a big movie guy, comic guy, DC, Marvel, Star Wars as well. I was actually on his podcast, the Guardians of the Galaxy podcast, rather. That's what it's called. I was on their show a few months ago to talk Andor, actually. I'm returning the favor, bringing him back to WrestleRant Radio to just talk all things wrestling, get his take on the current wrestling landscape in WWE, AEW, what he's been keeping up with, his anticipation level heading into SummerSlam next week. And speaking of which, next week I will be at SummerSlam next weekend. That has been confirmed. And as a result of that, I'm hoping to do a show before I leave on Thursday. It's either we do the show next Thursday with Mr. Marceau before I take off and hit the road for SummerSlam, or I do it when we get there and we do a road show in the hotel in New Jersey, which probably doesn't sound all that exciting, but that's my current plan, so keep an eye out for that. But yeah, this Thursday in WrestleRant Radio, Tommy Bechtold guest starring. Check him out. Google him. He's actually been in a bunch of TV shows like The Middle and shows like that. He's an actor. He talks a lot about, like I said before, the comic book shows and movies and Star Wars and stuff like that. Awesome dude, really fucking funny. You can find him on the Twitter machine. I'll put out the official announcement, including his Twitter handle. I think it's at Tommy Bechtold or something along those lines on the Twitter machine. So awesome dude. He'll be joining me on WrestleRant Radio this Thursday for those interested. Stay tuned for that. That's Thursday. Today's Tuesday. It's hashtag AskGSM. We'll get to your questions just here in a moment after we say hello to everyone in the chat, including Richie, who's the first one chatting in here today, and said, hello, in all caps rather, hello, I am angry. I have a lot to say, sort of. I'm actually fine, by the way, no big deal. Yeah, Richie and I were talking quite a bit during the pay-per-view on Sunday and after the fact. I'm still waiting for Richie to join me in you obviously live a little bit closer than I do, but storming the headquarters and potentially rioting. Or I was going to say WWE headquarters. WWE, I guess, is at fault because their top titles are on WWE Talent. But we gotta rival, or rather riot, the TNA headquarters. I don't know where they're based out of nowadays. They might be in Canada. But anyway, Richie also said, remember, 1 like for this video equals 1 less Goldberg complaint. That's a great point. He's not wrong. Definitely jump in on that. 1 like for the video, 1 less Goldberg complaint. I like that. Eric said Sunday was made to be Santana's time. And yeah, he lost. He was not pinned in the match. Very clearly, they're building towards him taking the title from Trick Williams at Bound for Glory, most likely. Back in my neck of the woods, actually in Lowell, Mass. I'm not from Lowell, Mass. I don't live in Massachusetts, but it's also not that far here from Connecticut. I've seen a lot of great wrestling shows in Lowell, Mass specifically. I've seen indie shows, NXT shows, Ring of Honor shows, and now a TNA show coming up in October. Don't have my tickets yet, but I will absolutely fucking be there. So I'm looking forward to that. If Mike Santana wins the championship that day, that'd be great, but who knows if he actually even will. We all thought Joe Hendry was taking the title of Bound for Glory last year, and they had him lose there, only to win it at Genesis a few months later. So I guess time will tell. But anyway, Richie says, in agreement with Eric, he said, everyone was pissed because he was there. Richie was at Slammiversary on Sunday. He said, the fact that they did not strike while the iron was hot is such a tone-deaf move. I completely agree. I was not a fan of that move at all. Eric says, do you feel like Santana's title run will go stale like Joe's did when they waited too long and his hype kind of died mid-title run? You talking when Samoa Joe was TNA World Champion like in 2000 and... Which was then? When did Samoa Joe win the championship? Did he finally win it from Kurt in 2008? I think that was actually in Lowell, Mass, believe it or not. I think if they waited that long, yeah, I think it would have been Lowell, Mass that he won the championship. If it was at Lockdown 2008, if it's the same show I'm thinking of, I think that would have been it. So I actually wasn't watching TNA at that point. I think he was champion for a good 6 months, though. I think he lost the championship Bound for Glory to Sting. That was around the time I started watching TNA consistently. I can't really speak to the quality of Samoa Joe's title run because I think I wasn't really watching at that point. But yeah, Samoa Joe was a hot commodity when he first came in to TNA in 2005, 2006. It really should not have taken that long for him to become champion. I remember the matches with Kurt Angle in 2006, early 07. I thought those were for the TNA World Championship. I guess not. I guess those were just either regular matches or he was X Division champion or whatever the fuck it was. I think him and Kurt were like taking all the titles in the company, but I don't think Joe at any point was ever the world champion during that feud, at least not until 2008. And I don't think at that point Kurt Angle was champion. Kurt Angle was champion going into lockdown. I don't know if that was when they were doing all the championships on Kurt and Joe sort of thing. But anyway, do I think Santana's title run will be mid because they waited so long? It could be. I can't confirm or deny. Honestly, I'm not saying this is completely the case, but the conspiracy theorist in me is thinking maybe they're waiting. They want to do like the longer chase. Oh, got to overcome adversity, pal. All this other long-term storytelling bullshit, which typically I'm in favor of, but in this case, he really should have won it when the Iron was hottest at Slammiversary. Not that Santana won't be over come October in Lowell, Mass., but he was in front of a lot of his, there was a lot of people there to support Santana. They have a, big demographic in that part of Long Island with the Hispanic, culture and whatnot, and that part of New York specifically. That was the place. I mean, you could tell from all the flags in attendance, the very vocal and loud support from, his people, so to speak. He even said that in his promo leading up to the show. He wanted to win the championship in front of his people, and they did not do it. And again, him winning the championship at Bound for Glory is still going to be a great moment. It will not quite hit the same. Just won't be the same thing. But anyway, the conspiracy theorist in me is thinking that maybe they're waiting because Santana, believe reportedly, his TNA contract is up in December. And they're trying to determine, hey, listen, if we wait until October to give him the championship, maybe he won't leave. Because I feel like, he's had a great run in TNA, but honestly, like with the appearances he's made on WWE TV recently, he would probably be better off going there and reporting to NXT by the end of the year, early next year, as opposed to signing a new deal with TNA, which I guess he could, and then stick around for like a year. TNA does do a lot of short-term deals, so he could sign like, a quick 1-year run, be champion for a little while, and then go to WWE soon after. TNA might not want to commit if they know he's on his way out, and he might go to WWE, and they absolutely have interest, and they should, because Santana's great. He's really opened my eyes to how great he is. Obviously, even in AEW, he wasn't not great. He was good, but honestly, he's really improved and found himself as a character. He was also a good promo guy in AEW, and even during his first TNA run, but I don't think anyone really saw Santana as this breakout, potentially future TNA World Champion. And had he gone to WWE right after he left AEW, one, I'm not even really sure they would have wanted him. But two, he absolutely would not have amounted to the same level of success that he's had on the indie scene and in TNA had he just gone to WWE right away. But back to my original point, what if the idea is that if they wait until October to put the belt on him, he may not leave and he may have to stay? Because in TNA's mind, they're thinking, okay, if we give him the championship in October, surely he won't want to leave. Surely he'll want to re-sign so he can be champion for a little bit longer. But they might have to ask him in October, hey, are you staying? Because we can't commit to putting the belt on you. Crowning a new champion at our biggest pay-per-view of the year, what's supposed to be like their WrestleMania, Bound for Glory. Although Slammiversary kind of feels like it's been their bigger show in recent years. The Bound for Glory is supposed to be like their WrestleMania. What if, on that show, we don't put the belt on you? Because if you're on your way out in December, why the fuck would we put the championship on you for like a month or two? That just doesn't make sense for TNA. So honestly, it could end up being a case where he's on his way out and they don't end up putting the championship on him. If I'm TNA, I still would have put the championship on him at Slammiversary regardless of his contract status. But had they done that, they could have gotten a 3, 4, 5-month championship run out of him, allowed his contract to expire. Obviously, they would want to re-sign him because why would they want to lose Santana? He's one of their top guys right now. But then he would be on his way to WWE, so at least they got that moment with him. But they may not want to give him that moment only for him to leave. They already know they're losing Joe Hendry. Joe Hendry is absolutely on his way out. I think his contract also expires later this year. So they may not want to lose Hendry and Santana in one fell swoop. Again, maybe they convince Santana to stay by giving him the championship later than we all anticipated. Not that he has no choice but to stay by winning the championship and having a longer run, but it would be a bit odd if they gave him that moment of Bound for Glory and then he won and then lost the championship in a month. So I guess we'll see. Richie's got the great love Ziggler and delete emojis in the chats. Again, perks of being a channel member. You unlock access to emojis like that. Fernando said, Buenos dias, WrestleRant. Fernando, what's going on, my man? Hope you're doing well. Thanks for joining as always. Grunt said, hey, everyone. Grunt, what's going on, brother? What's going on, dude? Grunt, thanks for joining. I know we missed you on WrestleRant Radio last Thursday. I think you said this a little bit later on in the live chat. Grunt's birthday was on Sunday, so everyone that's joining us live or watching after the fact, wish Grunt a very happy birthday. His birthday present was Santana not winning the TNA World Championship. Not that he really cares. I mean, I think Grunt doesn't watch TNA anyway, but hope you had a great day, my friend, and a great weekend at that. The best part about having a birthdays on Fridays are the best. But I feel like I lucked out because my birthday 2 years ago was on a Friday. Again, Friday birthdays are just the best. It's the end of the week, but you still got the weekend. And then I had a leap year where that was 2023. 2024 was a leap year. So my birthday went from Friday to Sunday the following year. I completely skipped Saturday, but the best part about that was that you're leading into your birthday. At least if you have a Friday birthday, I love Friday birthdays, but the issue with that is you have a birthday weekend, but it's after your birthday. It just doesn't quite hit the same. But when your birthday's on Sunday, Friday, Saturday kind of feel like an extension of your Sunday birthday. Sure, you got work or school the next day after a Sunday birthday, but you're still probably off that day. You could really do anything you want. And you still have your birthday to look forward to when it's Friday and Saturday of the days prior. So it's got its pros and cons. Maria said, hello, wrestling fans. Maria, what's going on? Great to see her in the chat as always. Thank you for checking out the Becky Lynch book. I saw your comment in the video. Thank you so much for checking out my review. Richie said, TNA headquarters in Toronto. Let's go. I've already packed the car. I've already loaded up I actually don't have a car currently, so I can't even say that. But I already ordered the Uber for us to get to Toronto and give them a knock on that headquarters door and see what's up and ask them about why they did what they did at the end of Slammiversary on Sunday. Richie said NXT Heatwave in Lowell, Mass as well. Yes, I saw that. So when they announced that during the Great American Bash show, I was airing opposite of All In. I'm trying to watch fucking both shows at once. I'm watching All In here, Great American Bash on my laptop. It was a hectic weekend. Not this past weekend, the weekend before that. But I was very excited when they announced that Heatwave's going to be in Lowell. So honestly, my plan for that is to go to that show too. I love watching wrestling shows, specifically at that arena. I've seen a lot of shows in Lowell to begin with. I've seen a lot of Ring of Honor shows, NXT shows, like I said, WWE shows, whatever. But the Lowell Memorial Auditorium, which is where NXT was, that's where they're going to be for Heatwave. They were also just there in December for TV tapings. Mr. Marceau and I had a lot of fun. We literally, I mean, he's closer than I am. He lives in Mass. I drove 2.5 fucking hours to go to Lowell, Mass for that show just to see it with him. I went to Applebee's beforehand, got dinner there. They had a great deal going on at the time. Got Applebee's, went to the show, drove right back home afterward. And it was a fun time, and I'm looking forward to doing the same thing with Heatwave. So we have not gotten tickets yet, but I am looking forward to being at that show. So with Mr. Marceau, I will definitely be at that show, the NXT Heatwave show, and then probably Bound for Glory. Bound for Glory is not in the Lowell Memorial Auditorium, though. That's going to be in the Tonga Center. I think that's how they pronounce it. Not Tomatonga. I think it's TSONGAS or something like that. The S might be silent, but yeah, they had a NXT Battleground there 2 years ago because they went to that show, and they also did the Ring of Honor show. Was it not Super Card of Honor? I forgot what it was. Death Before Dishonor, Death by Dishonor, something like that. Whatever that show was 3 years ago. They did in the summer, actually almost 3 years ago today. They did it at the Tonga Center, and that was where they did FTR versus the Briscoes too, and the match was great. Anyway, let's see. Just backtracking a little bit here in the chat. Like I said, Grunt's birthday on Sunday, so be sure to Wish him a happy birthday. AJ, I saw here in the chat. AJ, what's going on? Thanks for joining, as always. Eric said he was talking about Joe Hendry. Well, he said, I believe in Santana. Oh, you talking about Joe? Oh, okay. I'm sorry. You said earlier on, when you said your question was, do you feel like Santana's title run will also go stale like Joe's did when they waited too long and his hype kind of died mid-title run? Honestly, well, you're talking about Joe Hendry. But honestly, what you said could also be applied potentially to Samoa Joe's title run, too. I don't think he won the TNA World Championship until like 2 or 3 years into his TNA run, and that was the only time he was TNA World Champion, which is kind of fucking crazy. But Joe Hendry, same thing, where they waited too long. And Joe Hendry's run, it wasn't like a bad run. Listen, me probably more than anyone else in the chat right now or watching this video or anyone else that I've had this discussion with, I probably watched TNA more than anyone. I have watched every fucking Impact pretty much for the last 17 years. I watch the shows, I cover the shows, I watch all the pay-per-views. I enjoy a lot of their shows, especially in the last year or two since the TNA rebrand. They've actually put on a really good product. So I'm probably more qualified to speak on this than anyone, as someone who has seen all the shows, okay? Joe Hendry's title run was fine. I see why they wanted to wait with Joe Hendry, because they wanted to give Nick Nemeth a longer title run because he had just won it at Slammiversary. When Joe Hendry did not win at Slammiversary last year, I was not upset. You can check the receipts. Joe Hendry was the hot hand at that point because he was coming off the NXT debut, among other stuff going on at that time. But they really wanted to put the belt on Nick Nemeth because that was the story they were telling. And I got it. But Nick Nemeth really should have lost that championship at Bound for Glory to Joe Hendry. To wait until January, the moment was still nice, but it wasn't their biggest show of the year. And it didn't really add to the chase for Joe. Joe wasn't really doing a whole fucking ton in between losing at Bound for Glory and then finally winning at Genesis. He really should have won it in October and had a longer run with the championship. He only ended up being champion for like 4 months. Now, in that time, he had a few quality title defenses. He also appeared in WWE programming twice, in the Men's Rumble and at WrestleMania. I mean, his television time between both appearances might have been 4 minutes max. But still, he got great exposure with the TNA Championship on both occasions and went viral on, WWE YouTube and stuff like that. So it ended up, by all accounts, being a successful championship run. Will not go down as one of the best TNA title runs of all time, because it wasn't. But it was good for what it was. It wasn't bad. But did the hype die down mid-title run? It kind of did. You're right, because I feel like he should have been champion a lot earlier than he was. That would have helped. So I thought you mentioned Samoa Joe earlier. That's my bad. Yes, Richie said the same thing. Joe Hendry, I believe, is who Eric is referring to. Fernando said, having NXT win both the TNA men's and women's world titles was a horrible booking decision. I thought it was dumb myself, personally. Both belts. Like, honestly, I just responded to someone on Twitter about this. My friend, my friend John. But we were talking because he could see why they did what they did. And holding off and putting the belt on Santana. I get why they did it. They want to do it at Bound for Glory. My issues with what happened on Sunday are twofold. Two things specifically. One, if you're going to put both women's championships on an NXT wrestler, do not keep your fucking TNA World Championship also on a TNA wrestler. I mean, that's just bad booking. You can't do both. It makes NXT look far superior to TNA, which business-wise they are, obviously. But like, the perception is reality. TNA look like they're just getting their asses whipped. I will talk about the NXT WWE TNA partnership in a couple moments because Richie asked about it. I haven't really addressed that question fully yet and my full thoughts on that. But perception is reality. It doesn't make TNA look great. That on their own fucking show, like Trick won the TNA Championship on an NXT PLE. Not saying it makes it that much better, but I didn't really even mind that. I thought it was a good gimmick. Trick is doing well as a heel. I like that. But to then put both of your belts on an NXT women's wrestler as well is a dumb move. Actually, it's threefold. To do both title wins or both, NXT wrestlers walking out with TNA gold on the same show wasn't good. Two, Santana was in New York. You'll never be able to replicate that moment in that same I mean, they could do like Genesis in New York, but it's not even like Bound for Glory's in Brooklyn or something like that. Like, it's in fucking Lowell, Mass. And it's going to be a good crowd, but it's not that same energy. Santana's not from Lowell, Mass. It's not the same thing. So they think they can wait until then, add to the chase and all this other shit. It's just not the same. It's just not the same. So that's why they wanted to wait, but they really should have pulled the trigger when the iron, it struck when the iron was hot and pulled the trigger on Sunday when they were in New York, in his home state in New York, for Santana. In 3, and honestly, probably the worst of the 3, hate to disrespect her, she's probably a nice person. JC Jane is not that guy. She is not that girl to be holding, let alone one fucking of those championships, fucking one of those titles, let alone both. I mean, it would be one thing if she got fired from NXT, went to TNA, and won the Knockouts Championship. Like, Indy Hartwell got released, now she's in TNA, probably will at some point be the Knockouts Champion. She could be the one to take that title from JC Jane. Indy Hartwell, I think, is a lot better personally than JC Jane. I just do not find JC Jane interesting at all. She's not even like the best wrestler in her own group, let alone in either company's women's divisions. I just think it's so astronomically stupid to have her be the one above. Like, look at the women that they have in either division right now, in either company. Jordan Grace, Masha Slamovich, Fallon Henley, who's in JC's group. But you have Jada Parker, Sol Ruka, Thea Hale, Zarya. And in TNA, you have Rosemary's good. She's been kind of phased out, but you have Rosemary. I don't know, man. I just feel like there's so many other options that you could have done what they did here with someone else. Killer Kelly just came back. They had to rush her feud with Masha just so Masha could lose to fucking JC Jane at Slammiversary. It's crazy. They have Tessa Blanchard. I mean, say what you will about Tessa. She's not, as a person, doesn't seem like she's a sweetheart herself, but she is a 10-time better wrestler, 10 times the better wrestler than JC Jane. I'd rather they put the belt on her and have her be the one to dominate both divisions over JC fucking Jane. That might be a hot take, but it's true. JC Jane is just not remotely interesting. At least Tessa's matches are good. I mean, JC's matches are just beyond boring because she's just hardly above average, if at all, in any department. Mic skills and ring skills, aura, as the kids say. I mean, that was my 3 biggest issues with what happened on Sunday. One of those things I could forgive. But doing all 3 on the same show, where Trick retains in Santana's hometown, JC Jane wins both fucking belts, and both the top TNA titles are on NXT wrestlers, yeah, I was not happy after Sunday night. I thought overall it was a good show, but I was not happy about that. Richie said they had Joe Hendry lose to Nick Nemeth via JBL interference last year, Bound for Glory, when he should have won the championship then. I feel like they're doing the same with Mike. Should have won on Sunday. I completely agree, and history does repeat itself. I mean, thankfully, JBL did not interfere in Slammiversary's main event this past weekend. JBL got involved in a lot of TNA main events last year and earlier this year. Guess where it led? Nowhere. Nowhere. They never acknowledged it again. It never ended up amounting to anything. He would come in, largely interfere in Nick Nemeth's matches, and it was never explained why. I don't think we ever heard from him fucking once. I think he would just come in, and I thought it was cool that he was out there, like, as the last outlaw. I'm thinking, okay, where is this going? Is he building a faction or something? It was never explained why he did that. It was never explained once. He got involved in like an MLW show, I think. He definitely showed up in AAA at one point. Again, this shit went nowhere. It amounted to nothing. I think he showed up in GCW too. It was weird. I mean, they were just booking JBL just to do shit at that point, like never actually to amount to anything. It was just stupid. Because if it doesn't make sense, then don't fucking do it. Maria says, Grow a set of balls, TNA. It was his hometown, talking about Mike Santana. Maria said also, why be afraid to give him the title? Because he might leave. They gave a non-WWE talent the TNA Women's Championship. Like I said before, grow a set, TNA. Noel, what's going on? Thanks for joining. You asked thoughts on Goldberg complaining about his last match. So I kind of gave my full thoughts on this on WrestleRant Radio last week. I think the interview with Ariel Helwani dropped during hashtag last week, actually. It was definitely later on Tuesday because I saw the clip later in the day after we were recording here. And then we talked about it on WrestleRant Radio last week. So that excerpt from the podcast last week is actually up here on the channel for my full thoughts on what Goldberg said about his last match. But in a nutshell, I'll just say this, that he had a right, honestly, to be upset that they cut off his retirement speech. WWE's fault for not timing that better. I know NBC cut it off. NBC always cuts off at 10. There's no exception to that. I mean, they're not going to keep it on the air for another 5 minutes for fucking Goldberg to address the audience. WWE should not have given him a 14-minute match I don't know if that's what he wanted or what they wanted. I have no idea. But they ended up giving him a 14-minute match. Half of that match, if not more, could have gone to the post-match segment with him addressing the audience and having that moment with Cody Rhodes. It did not need to be a 14-minute match. The match was one of his better matches recently. He did not embarrass himself. It was a nice send-off. They gave him his own little posse, people to pick from, like his life, to walk him down to the ring, which was cool. His son, DDP, was out there, among other people. It was a nice moment. They built that entire show around him. What the fuck more did he want? He was making comments about, like, oh, they should have waited, or they should have announced it in January. Instead, they announced it a month in advance. How much of a fucking build do you want for this match? I mean, sure, if they announced it 2 weeks ahead of time, I would have said that's a problem. Bro, they announced it a month ahead of time. He was on Raw twice. They gave him a video package. They interviewed him on Raw. The build was exactly what it needed to be. The build was perfect for what it was. You are never going to get more excited for a Goldberg match than by watching the build that they did. If you didn't care about Bill Goldberg's having his last match, then you would not have cared about the build, regardless if it was a month, 2 weeks, or 6 months. What they did was perfect. The match was well done. Gunther went over decisively. There was no issue with what they did. Yet he still complained. He made comments about how he didn't really do a whole lot of interviews and all this other shit. You know, I can understand that. They should have promoted it more. But he was like, he made it sound like they kind of planned it out dating back to last year, that they knew it was going to be in Georgia. I mean, they didn't announce it that it was going to be in Atlanta until like a month or two ago, so I get that. But again, what the fuck else did he expect? They're not giving him a John Cena retirement tour. He couldn't even do that. I mean, honestly, he's well over 10 years older than John Cena, who can't even really go out there and do a whole lot at this point because Cena's very limited. But Goldberg was not out there. He's never had a match on Raw or SmackDown since he returned to the company in 2016. Cena has wrestled on TV. Even Brock fucking Lesnar wrestled on TV. Goldberg never wrestled on TV. He only ever wrestled on pay-per-view. And that's fine. But I'm not really sure what more he could have wanted. He would have wanted it on a pay-per-view. Brother, you could have accepted the nod to be at Saudi Arabia. You could have had your last match in Saudi Arabia and Night of Champions. Made a whole lot of money. But you didn't want to wrestle in front of the Saudi Arabian fans because that was the problem with the last retirement match that he had. He didn't want his last match to be in Saudi Arabia. He wanted it to be in fucking Israel or something, which is fine. I mean, that's totally cool. But it didn't work out. I think there was a promoter trying to do that. I mean, that sounds random, but like, I get it. He's like Jewish and stuff, and Israel means something to him. I totally understand that. I'm not saying that's an issue. What I'm saying is that he wanted to do that. WWE was not going to give him that, obviously. They don't run shows in Israel, to my knowledge, especially with everything going on right now. I kind of get it. But then I think a promoter tried to do it. It fell through. Okay, so you have to settle with what WWE's giving you. They could have easily saved it for SummerSlam, but it would not have closed the show. Goldberg ain't main eventing a fucking WWE pay-per-view in 2025. It could, but it should not have. Goldberg should not have headlined a pay-per-view. Goldberg and Gunther was perfect as the main event of Saturday night's main event. It was a TV special. If it ended up at SummerSlam, I'm sorry, Gunther and Goldberg should have been in the middle of the show. That would not have gone on last, nor should it have. That would have been a joke. And they would not have spent the last 20 minutes of the show giving him a send-off. They just wouldn't have done that. He's not John Cena. He's not The Undertaker. That was his other thing. They wouldn't have done this to John Cena or The Undertaker. Yeah, because they're 10 times bigger stars than you. And the other thing is, The Undertaker got his retirement match in a pre-taped environment in 2020. Not even in front of fans. He had his last promo as The Undertaker on WWE television in front of no fucking fans. Again, be grateful for what you got. You can nitpick here and there, but the sentiment that, I don't want to complain, but I'm going to complain, is just bullshit. Goldberg, and I like the guy. I am a Goldberg fan, but he was, is, always will be a complainer. He will never be completely content with anything. It always has to be, they rushed me back for this. I wasn't in shape because there's always an excuse with this man. There's always an excuse. He did say, again in another interview, I think, that he would not have had his last match had it not been for Triple H. So we kind of backtracked a little bit, it sounded like. I don't know if it was in the same interview or a different interview, but I saw a headline the other day that said, where he thanked Triple H. Didn't thank Triple H originally, I don't think, but he thanked him a few days ago. He probably thought better of what he said, or at least I hope. Richie said, Bound for Glory having a smaller crowd than Slammiversary and being in a different state is silly. He could have won the title and dropped it if he is indeed WWE bound. It's so silly. I agree. Yeah, I mean, Lowell Mass, someone said to me on Twitter the other day, kind of trying to justify it, which I can understand why people would think, like, okay, this makes sense. They can wait until their WrestleMania to do it. But instead, the issue, what people don't realize is what this person was trying to tell me was that, oh yeah, they're going to do even higher attendance for Bound for Glory. I honestly, I don't see that. I think Bound for Glory will do well, but this is the sort of stuff that chases people away. When you don't deliver the moments that they want to see, and you can't give people what they want all the time, obviously, but it made sense in this situation. When you do dumb booking decisions like that, and you have people negatively talking about your product coming out of the show, it almost doesn't even matter long-term what you do. Because it's not as if, and there are a lot of instances where fans do not see the long-term vision, where it makes more sense to do this in the long term. For example, like when Drew McIntyre lost, that's not the same thing, by the way. But when like Drew McIntyre lost at Clash of the Castle, I thought he was winning and I would have been fine with it. When he lost, some people shit all over it. I was totally fine with it. Drew should not have beaten Roman on that show. It needed to be Cody. At that point, it needed to be Cody Rhodes. Now, Cody Rhodes losing at 39 was fucking stupid. And they did make up for it at 40. But the only reason they even made up for it at 40, that wasn't even the plan. Cody was never supposed to get that rematch. Cody kind of went into business for himself. The Rock pivoted plans. I mean, even that moment wasn't supposed to happen. So, I mean, the idea that, yeah, it ended up working out at 40, 39, having him lose on that show was still pretty stupid. Like, as other people have said, Roman being champion for another year killed their main event scene for a long time, devalued the World Heavyweight Championship. The whole Roman J feud did not need to be over the top title. It did a lot of damage. LA Knight maybe could have won a championship at that point. He got hot, couldn't win the World Championship. They were holding on to that for Cody Rhodes. You see what I'm saying? Like, for 40, it worked out. But it really should have been 39, even though 40 was a better match with all the interference. You could have done the interference at 39, but which they did with Sammy and the Usos and KO, but the interference that we got at 40, they could have done at 39. That's a different conversation for a different day. My point is, this person was trying to tell me, oh, maybe they'll do more attendance at Bound for Glory, and it'll be a bigger moment that way. I don't see them doing as many people at Bound for Glory as they did at Slammiversary. I just don't. I think the WWE partnership has helped a lot as far as the TNA attendance and buzz, which I'll get to in a little bit. In regards to Richie's question, the headline question for this video. I don't know why I keep pointing like this, like that, like the title's above me. The title's below me here in the video, if you're watching on YouTube. I guess if you're watching on your phone and you click on the title's up above. I'm thinking about desktop. Anyway, I don't see them doing more people in that building in October. I just don't. Again, especially when you do dumb booking decisions like we saw on Sunday. Like Slammiversary last year, again, people were upset that Joe Hendry did not win. To me, it made sense. I think Nick Nemeth should have gotten a run before Joe. And that's what they did. And I'm glad they did that. But in this situation, there's really no denying it. Joe Hendry also losing at Bound for Glory was also just very dumb. That I disagreed with. The Slammiversary one I didn't have an issue with last year. This year, Mike Santana should have won on Sunday. Are we really going to run with this Trick Williams TNA World Championship experiment for another 3 months? I mean, already it's been fine. I think it's been decent for the last 2 months. But to run on with it for another 3, that's a little excessive to me. I'm not really sure it's going to work out the way they think. Richie said, LOL, I guess I really am still big mad about this. I don't blame you because I still am. Fresh Fly, what's going on? Thanks for joining. Said, maybe Santana will win the NXT championship. I mean, he should win the TNA championship first, but it is possible that Santana, I mean, honestly, what other options do they really have? He's not going to the main roster first, nor should he. He really should go to NXT first for a full-fledged run before going to the main roster. Joe Hendry, you can make the case for, like, he's been in NXT enough where it's like, does he really need to go to NXT? Probably not. He should go to the main roster if they have a plan for him. Mike Santana has not been in NXT enough, and he would just get lost on the shuffle. I'm not even guaranteeing, like, he'd have success on the main roster. Like, with the amount of stars that WWE has under contract currently, there is no guarantee that Santana will rise above the crop, the pack, so to speak. The cream will rise, the crop, whatever the fucking expression is. That he will really get the opportunities to show what he can do as a single, even after an NXT run. I'm not sure Santana will excel in WWE. He obviously didn't get that opportunity in AEW, so better WWE than AEW. He really should go to NXT first. And like I said, it's not as if there's a whole bunch of options to take that NXT championship from Obafemi. They have Ethan Page. They have Ricky Saints. Ethan Page has already won the NXT title. He should be main roster bound, but he's currently the North American champion. Ricky Saints would be a good pick, but he's probably main roster bound on the Sooner side. So who does that really leave? I think Mike Santana would be a good pick. Richie asked, LMAO, thoughts on AJ Francis taking that bump? He said he was okay. He always tries to like defend himself, like against online trolls who will complain about stuff that he does. I don't mind AJ. There's got to be a method to the madness there. I don't want to give him an excuse necessarily for. I mean, it's his bump if he fucking ruins his nether regions by doing what he did, because he landed crotch first on the ladder when he really should have just gone like, like shoulder first, back first, whatever. He landed very awkward. First of all, it just looked stupid. It looked dumb. And he said he's okay. So God bless him. It didn't look good. But if he thinks he knows what he's doing, then I'm not a wrestler. He is. So, if he's okay, I guess that's really all that matters. It just did not look great. So it's Richie's birthday coming up on Friday. It was Grunt's birthday on Sunday, this past Sunday. Richie's birthday is in 3 days from today. So happy early birthday to Fernando as well. Be sure to wish Richie a happy birthday in the chat. Grunt said, yeah, I'm an AEW Ring of Honor New Japan guy these days, but it's always neat when something notable happens on your birthday regardless. Hey, the AJ Styles return. I mean, the outcome of the main event was disappointing, but we still got that AJ Styles TNA return on Sunday, so that's a pretty nice way to celebrate a birthday, if I do say so myself, because AJ and I specifically share a birthday, where our birthdays are both June 2nd. Millennial Noob, what's going on? He said, good morning. Maria saying, happy birthday, Richie. Eric saying the same. Grunt said to backtrack. What did Grunt say? Let's see. Yeah, Tomatonga Center, exactly. I'll be there in a heartbeat. Grunt said, Toronto, you say, imagine if that's how we end up finally meeting in person. Yeah, I might take the ride up there to Toronto to riot at the TNA headquarters, and that's where I'll finally see Average Grunt. We will have our paths cross one day. I can guarantee you of that. I probably will not be at All Out later this year, but at some point, I promise you, Grunt, our paths will indeed cross. I can guarantee you of that. Richie said, JK, we all know it was named after Tongaloa. Yeah, no. The Tomatonga Center sounds great, but we know the Tonga Center in Lowell is definitely named after Tongaloa. The GOAT himself. Acknowledge him. Roman who? Fernando said, are you watching Fantastic Four this weekend? Yes, to avoid sport. I mean, I want to see the movie anyway. So my thing is, with a lot of movies, as I've said before, I'll wait until the Tuesday after just to see it for $5. And honestly, Tuesday nights typically work better for me than like the weekends, which can get busy and whatever. Usually with Marvel movies, I will not wait until Tuesday. I did with the Eternals because I did not give a fuck about that movie, and I was right about that because that movie was ass. But most other Marvel movies, I'll see the weekend that it comes out or the Thursday that it comes out, before the weekend that it comes out. I am planning to do that with Fantastic Four. I just don't know when exactly, because I'm not sure who I'm seeing it with. I mean, there's a couple people that have asked me to see it with them. I'm just not sure how that's going to work out yet. But I don't know who I'm seeing it with yet, and also what my schedule looks like. That's the thing. So if I get my car back in the next couple of days, today's Tuesday, I was aiming to go to the TNA TV taping in Rhode Island on Thursday because it's not far from where I am. I haven't been to a TNA show in a few years. It's going to be a fun time. It's a live Impact, which is cool. I wanted to be able to go to that. If I don't have my car, obviously I'm not going. So if I'm not going to the TNA show on Thursday, I might go see Fantastic Four on Thursday. Friday, I wanted to watch the Happy Gilmore movie because that drops on Netflix on Friday. We might go mini golfing or something. That was our plan. We could do that on Sunday instead. Saturday, if I have my car back, like I said, I'm seeing Mr. Marceau. So if I have my car back by Thursday, I'm going to the TNA show and seeing RJ on Saturday. If I don't have my car back this week at all, I'm not doing either of those things, and I'll have more time to see Fantastic Four. So honestly, I'm not really sure what the weekend looks like. I will definitely be seeing it at some point. By this time next Tuesday, almost guaranteed I will have seen the movie. I think there's a very slim chance I'll be waiting until next Tuesday to watch Fantastic Four. So, by this time next week here on the show, you can ask me my thoughts on the movie. I'll give you my spoiler-free review. And by that point, my Letterboxd review will probably also be up as well. Richie said, Joe Hendry came out in an Eminem cosplay in Detroit with a chainsaw. How did they not book him to win? I forgot about that. That was what he came out to in Bound for Glory. I forgot about that. Richie also said, WWE is doing everything they can to convince you that JC Jane is not a transitional champion. I know. Like, seriously, they are trying to really hammer home that she is not a beatable champion. Even though she got fucking pinned twice Once at Evolution and then in a tag team match on Tuesday's NXT. She got pinned on NXT, and she also got pinned at Evolution. She might have got pinned on Impact last week, too. And then she'll win when the championship's on the line. She is absolutely they are really trying to tell you, yeah, she's not a transitional champion. She's not a transitional champion. She's a fucking transitional champion. Jacy Jayne is not who you build the division around. She's not that good. She's good, but she's not that good. Richie said the WWE said to TNA, that doesn't work for me, brother. Imagine if Hulk Hogan was still in TNA. Imagine if why would they have worked with TNA in 2012 when TNA was excelling on its own and WWE didn't really need to work with TNA because NXT wasn't really a thing at that point. It was, but it wasn't what it is today. Imagine if they were working with NXT or if WWE was working with TNA 13, 15 years ago when Hulk Hogan was there. Imagine Hulk Hogan in the fucking WWE Performance Center as the TNA general man. Imagine Sting. Imagine Sting in the WWE Performance Center wrestling Obafemi. You know what I mean? It's just so odd to think about. Richie said GBL was just farming for XP by doing random side quests. I thought you said he was aura farming because I know that's a thing that people say now. But yeah, he was farming for XP for sure by doing what he was doing. Fernando said there was no payoff from the JBL involvement. No, there wasn't. Again, as someone who has watched every TNA show in the last 15 years, I don't remember them ever addressing why JBL ever came out. Eric said, I'm surprised Ash didn't cash in to at least save the TNA title. So I think what you're referring to is, I think Ash by Elegance, the former Dana Brooke, she became number one contender to the Knockouts Championship recently. I don't really know why, because she's also one half of the Knockouts Tag Team Champions, but whatever. I don't think her title shot is like a Money in the Bank briefcase, seemingly like the all-in contracts are from last year and this year. Those sound like those might be Money in the Bank contracts. When Ash became number one contender recently by winning that Battle Royal or whatever, I think she earned herself a future title shot, down the road. I think that's how that worked, if I'm not mistaken. It might be like this Thursday in Impact. It might be at an upcoming TNA event. I don't think it was something that she could have cashed in on. Honestly, that would have been even worse. I can't think of a worse championship match where Dana fucking Brooke beats Jacy Jayne for either the NXT or the TNA Women's Championships. That would be terrible. The only thing worse than Jacy Jayne being champion would be Dana Brooke. And I like Dana Brooke. She hasn't proved in TNA, but Dana Brooke has always been at a certain level, not that great. She's even less interesting than, I guess she's probably more interesting than Jacy Jayne, but she's still not someone I would put their TNA championship on. My personal opinion. Richie said, has anyone here watched the Mike Santana interview from Ariel Helwani? Big Dog almost made me cry. It's a good watch. Yeah, I saw he was on the show. I haven't seen the interview. I heard it was good. Every Mike Santana interview is a good one. He was doing a lot of press going to Slammiversary. I have not watched the interview, but I might have to check it out. Noob said, to be honest, I believe Jacy Jayne is the most boring member of Toxic Attraction. The best members are Gigi Dolan and Mandy Rose. Yeah, Jacy Jayne was the third wheel in the first faction she had, let alone now. Jasmine, I'm not going to go so far as to say, someone said recently here, Jasmine Nix is better than Jacy Jayne. That's not necessarily true. Jasmine Nix, I like her. I actually interviewed her when she got hired by WWE a few years ago as part of the NIL program. I interviewed her that day. She's still very inexperienced. Jacy Jayne is a better fit for that spot, but she's also no Fallon Henley, who is a far better fit for that spot, in my opinion. Fresh Fly said, that's another thing, by the way, before I get to his comment, that they're trying to replicate the Toxic Attraction success by putting all the belts on Jacy, who's in the role of Mandy. Mandy won the NXT UK Championship, the NXT UK Women's title, and then the NXT Women's Championship before that. Mandy Rose was not Mako Satomura, who she beat for that belt in the three-way at Worlds Collide 3 years ago. But at least Mandy Rose was a better all-around character. She was champion, the TNA champion, or the NXT champion for a while at that point. That shit just made more sense to me. Because Mandy was doing really well in that role. Not all of her matches were great, but she was more interesting than Jacy Jayne, in my opinion. Anyway, Fresh Fly said, Goldberg's match could have been 10 minutes with a 4-minute speech. I'm looking forward to what else he has to say about it. For more content purposes in the IWC, we get more to talk about. Yeah, he said he would have more to say about it in a week or two. He said 2 weeks ago last week, so I would assume that means in a week from now. I guess when his contract with the company expires. I don't know what he means by that, but at this point, just let him die in the dark. As far as like, let him complain. If we don't react, if we don't give him the attention he apparently seeks, then maybe he won't be crying about getting one more match elsewhere in AEW or whatever. I don't know. Yeah, Fernando said, rant, rant, rant. Maria said the same thing. Probably about the JC Jane thing. I don't know what I was ranting about, but thank you. Fresh Flies said, I just saw a video of Cena at Happy Gilmore 2's premiere. He's in a suit and walking very stiffly with his wife. I think he's in a lot of pain from wrestling all these years. I mean, he's been wrestling a lot this year by his standards. As someone who has not wrestled this much in probably 10 years, I don't know if he's experiencing pain from that. I mean, he's not that old. Like, he's not Goldberg 58, but John Cena is, 45, 40. He's not even that, actually. He's probably like 48, 49. I mean, people get older. He's been wrestling a lot in the last 20 years. It's how life works. Richie said, I've never been a Goldberg fan. He always struck me as someone who was a pretender, who was a pretender, much like a Bubba Ray. But after this debacle, Goldberg is definitely on my shit list. I'm glad everyone's noticing now. I mean, he's always been a complainer, but like I said, I like Goldberg. I'm glad he got one more match, but it's like, you can nitpick, but do you really have to complain as much as he did in that interview? I mean, come on. He also said, Richie did, Goldberg wanting his match in Israel in today's landscape is a choice. Yeah, I don't know when he said that. I mean, it obviously wouldn't be in 2025. I think he said that maybe 3 years ago. I don't know if that, I mean, I'm the last person to be asking about that sort of stuff as far as the whole conflict going on right now, as far as when it started and whatever. This would have been 2-3 years ago. I would hope it was before what's going on right now really became what it is, because that would just be fucking stupid to say that. But I'm not sure. You'd have to check the timeline on that one. Fresh Fly said, saw someone say that Goldberg will get hired by AEW. I hope not, because then you just hype this WWE match for no reason. That would be the ultimate Ric Flair move, where they give you, I mean, to be fair, in that scenario, Ric Flair did not want to retire, but he really should have. I mean, Ric Flair was around the same age that Goldberg was when he retired, right? Wasn't Ric Flair like in his 50s when he retired at WrestleMania 24, but then he went to TNA and wrestled anyway. I mean, granted, TNA gave him like a full-on fucking run. Goldberg should not have a run in AEW. He should only be there, Goldberg should only be there to have one match, but he shouldn't even do that. I mean, the window for that closed a few years ago. Honestly, Goldberg being in AEW for like a Wardlow match maybe could have worked. He could have gone in, put over Wardlow, beat someone who gives a shit, like beat Peter Avalon or some shit. He shut that door himself when he got interviewed, I think by Chris Van Vliet or someone else, when they asked him, like, whatever happened to the idea of you going to AEW? Because he was, like, friendly with Tony Khan. They had good conversations about it. And he completely shit all over him. He actually called him, like, a modern-day Dixie Carter. And that's not a positive compliment. So any idea that Goldberg has a chance to go to AEW, I mean, Tony Khan could be a forgiving person. But if Goldberg turned him down a few years ago, and then he came out in an interview and called me the modern-day Dixie Carter, I would not be exactly scrambling to give this guy one more match in my company, where he really won't do a whole lot of business, and the AEW fans, quite honestly, will not give a fuck. Compared to the WWE fans in Atlanta, the AEW fans would probably boo him out of the building. That would not, it would not be Sting circa 2021. It's not the same thing. Yeah, Richie said, Bill, oh, woe is me, Goldberg. Yeah, basically. He's a whiner. Fernando said, let's see, Goldberg and Bret Hart should do a podcast together, Grumpy Old Wrestler Rant. I would much rather listen to a Bret Hart podcast than a Goldberg podcast. I'm sorry, but I know Bret complains about stuff, but a lot of his complaints and whining usually is justified. Goldberg's are just annoying. When you're one of the best of all time, you kind of have that option, to be honest with you. Anyway, Richie said, Tonga Center max capacity is 6,496, according to Google. Nice job, TNA. Well, there you go. Even if TNA sells out the building, they still cannot physically get more people in that building than they did at Slammiversary. It's not even like a couple hundred off. That's like a good 1,500 people. Like the UBS Arena can hold a lot more than 7,000 or whatever TNA did, I think. I think they can hold 10,000, 15,000, whatever. So they are absolutely not doing more people in the Tonga Center in Lowell, Mass in October than they did at Slammiversary at the UBS Arena. So that's not even an idea. Richie said, imagine if TNA, or actually before that, Maria said, WWE got lucky when they didn't pull the trigger at Mania 39. TNA is not WWE. Yeah, they got lucky, but even still in retrospect, I mean, people ask me this a lot. Did WWE make the right call by having Cody lose? My answer at this point is probably still no. I'm going to say no. WWE should have had Cody win at 39. It did work out at 40, but only because they were dragged into it kicking and screaming, and not because that was always the plan. Even if it was the plan, I still would probably say you should have done it at 39. It would have avoided some issues. And they could have done Rock and Roman at 40 too, which at this point we're probably never getting. Richie said, imagine if TNA had actually sold out the UBS Arena's capacity of 20,000 seats, only for Mike to lose. You're pushing away any potential new fans. Silly. No, exactly. That's the thing. Like, there was so much buzz around TNA at that point. Even if the plan was for Mike Santana to lose, they should have booked him to win. They should have booked him to win. It's like, okay, shit, we got this many fans in attendance. We were not anticipating this many fans in attendance. Let's book him to win. Let's pivot plans. Give him a big win in his home state, and give those people that great moment, and we'll pivot our plans. But they did not do that. They stuck with their original plan, and it ended up blowing up in their face. I don't care if the long-term plan is for WWE to lose the belts to TNA at Bound for Glory. That's another 3 months of TNA looking like bitches because they lost both of their top titles to the opposition. It's just fucking dumb. Maria said, prayers for Buff Bagwell. The poor guy got his leg amputated. Yeah, I heard the whole story about that. The shit was crazy. Hopefully he's doing better. Fernando said, flopping Francis. Richie said, you agree, I am. I've gone back and watched that AJ return probably like at least 24 times, if not more than that, just to hear the old TNA music. And AJ being there was amazing. To hear the old TNA music made that moment for me. I felt like I was 13 years old all over again. Fernando said, happy birthday, Shawn Michaels and Mandy Rose. I knew it was Shawn Michaels' birthday today. I did not know it was Mandy Rose's birthday. Happy birthday to Mandy Rose. Grunt said, oh, mini golf. That's an idea for a future birthday hangout. I would say so. I'm a mini golf guy. Can't say I'm great at it. I'm not great at either of these things, but two things I enjoy doing, not on the regular, but once in a blue moon. Mini golf, bowling. Bowling I'm way worse at. Mini golf I'm actually have a better track record. I think I beat Alexis when we played mini golf last year. Eric said, oh, okay, not a fan of Ash. Got it. Yeah. I'm not saying I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of Ash. I think she has improved in TNA with the character stuff. In the ring, she's still the same Dana Brooke that she's been for the last fucking decade. But you cannot sit there and tell me that you would rather have Ash by Elegance as champion over JC Jane. It's like, I don't want to say who's worse, but they're both very uninteresting in that role as champion. For both brands, one brand doesn't matter. You have so many other women in both divisions that are so much fucking better than JC Jane and Ash by Elegance, Dana Brooke. Why are we even having this discussion? The belt should be on, again, people hate Tessa and I get it, but Tessa's way better than JC Jane or Ash by Elegance. Tessa, Indy, Rosemary even, Jada Parker, Sol Ruka, Thea Hale, Zarya. I mean, the list goes on and on. Tatum Paxley even, I think, is more interesting than fucking JC Jane or Ash by Elegance. Eric said, happy birthday to HBK. The Chokeslam Wrestling Podcast, or report rather, not podcast, said Goldberg should disappear. He has become a clown. You just got to let him die in the dark. If you keep letting him complain and we keep talking about him, maybe he'll think that we want to see another match. The answer is no. That ran its course a few years ago, if that. Eric said, damn, now how many people are saying Liv was a curse for the Judgment Day? Who was saying Liv was a curse for Judgment Day? I have not seen that. You also said, if Rock Roman was actually the first plan for 40, then what do you do with Cody and Drew? At Mania 40? I don't know. I mean, the report was that Cody was just going to sit out the show. I have no fucking clue. Drew, to be fair, it looked like they were setting him up for a Mania match with Sami Zayn. They were building a feud between the two in late 2023, early 2024, and then they just moved away from it randomly. So I think Drew would have been busy with Sami, who was never supposed to face Gunther. He only faced Gunther because Brock Lesnar got busted from the show. And if it wasn't Sammy facing Gunther, they could have done Chad Gable because they fucking should have, and then they didn't. And I honestly think there was a chance they were going to until they realized Sammy had no match. But anyway, I think Cody was just going to sit out the show. Or you do Seth and Cody. I know Seth was going to face Punk, but they were teasing Cody and Seth. I think there's been talk of Cody they were going to do an injury angle where Cody would not have been at WrestleMania. That would have been astronomically stupid. Fresh Fly said, Cena has 11 appearances left with WWE. What are you hoping to see, and have you enjoyed the run so far? What would you have done differently if the pen was in your hand? I wouldn't have turned him fucking heel. I would not have turned him heel. I said that from the get-go that it was stupid to turn him heel. I thought it was interesting when they did it because he hasn't been a heel in so long. But I said at the time, there were so many people creaming their pants over heel John Cena because they thought it was the greatest thing to ever happen in wrestling. The execution was great. I said at the time, I'm not going to jump all over this because I said there's fucking receipts of me here on this very show in January and February when it was teased that Cena might go heel. And Alexis called it to her credit that he would go heel. Because she called it, a lot of people saw that tease and thinking there's no actual way that they do this. Why the fuck would you turn this guy heel when everyone wants to cheer him anyway? I said this could work if they actually go all in with it. They didn't. They fucking didn't. They haven't changed the theme. The graphics are just garbage. His matches aren't even that great. I mean, the Orton match was fun. The Cena match, or the Cody Cena match at Mania was just trash. The Punk match was good. Could have been way better. The R-Truth match was a waste of time. I mean, no, I have not enjoyed this run really at all. There's been moments, glimmers of greatness, but largely this run for Cena has been one giant disappointment. The sooner they turn him back babyface, the better. A complete waste of a heel turn that should have happened 10 years ago. Alexis said, Graham tried to pull one over on me, brother, but I knew AJ Styles showed up in TNA. I felt it in my bones. So yeah, I tried to tell her that it did not happen because I wanted to make it more of a surprise, but she already had a feeling, so she did kind of call that. But we watched it anyway, and it was a great moment. Can you blame me? I mean, it's a lot more fun to just experience it while you're watching it as opposed to just telling someone, hey, this person returned. Now, if it's not a big deal, then I get that, but the AJ thing I think was a pretty big deal, at least to me. Fernando said, what are your thoughts on Hardy's and Team 3D match in 2025? I'm not a fan of it, to be honest with you. I'm really not. I don't like that. Yeah, it works as an attraction. I think a lot of people that like the idea of the match don't realize that there's going to be a match. A fucking match. I like the Hardys. They can hold their own in 2025. They've had some fun matches so far in 2025. The Dudleys have had, I think, maybe one match in the last 10 years. Maybe. And it was a quick squash at the Impact 1000 show. And I remember that because I was fucking there for it. And it was cool. That was cool. That was like a fun little attraction thing. They did one last match. It's like with the Hardys and like in 2025, what are we fucking doing? I know it's an anniversary of their matches from 2000. I get it. But like they kind of already did this in 2014. They had the Hardys and the Dudleys feud in TNA, but also with the Wolves. So the Wolves kind of replaced Edge and Christian. And the Wolves went over in the end and got a big boost from beating these legendary teams in Team 3D and the Hardys. And that was actually Team 3D's last run in TNA before they went back to WWE the following year, which was cool. I don't know, man. I'm just not a fan of the match. I think wasting the tag titles on that is stupid because Team 3D will not win. And if they do, that's just ridiculous. Devon, from all accounts, from what I've heard, can barely walk. He wasn't even fucking there on Sunday. Imagine how embarrassing it would have been if they're announcing one more match, but like Devon's out there and like with crutches or like in a back brace, and they're like, "Yeah, one more match." It's like, yeah, no. If the Hardys if the Hardys had faced Edge and Christian, then maybe Edge and Christian we know can still go. You know, Team 3D, Bubba Ray is whatever. I don't even give a fuck about Bubba at this point. And I like Devon a lot more, but I don't think Devon can barely, like, the guy can even walk, let alone wrestle. Like an actual match? And then building to it for 3 months? I mean, how's that going to work? Yeah, I'm not a fan. Grunt said, been bowling twice in a row, so now I'm thinking mini golf or a board cafe would be a good way to switch things up next year. Okay, yeah, mini golf's an idea, especially with your birthday being in July. Always a good way to spend a birthday. Do you still need bumper when you ball? don't know what you're talking about there, Eric. You're going to have to enlighten me what you're talking about. Talking about Goldberg crying? I don't know what you're talking about. Imagine if AJ appeared live via satellite. In TNA, that would have sucked. I mean, it kind of did at Slammiversary of 3 years ago. They were having all these people like come in to say thank you, TNA, for like their 20-year anniversary. I think Sting may have done a video among other people, but they had AJ do a video. And it was awesome, but it would have been cooler if he was there in person. And him appearing even over video is pretty sweet. Fernando said, come on, Graham, you cannot be working your woman like that, LOL. Oh, yes, you can. If you want to make things a bigger surprise, you got to be working. It doesn't matter if it's your woman, your fucking father, mother, daughter, son, friend. Doesn't matter. There are no limits. As long as it's something that's worth working and it's not harmful, let's put it that way. Eric said Tatum is really getting over with the fans. She is. I like Tatum. She owns her character very well, and she's decent enough in the ring as well. Richie said Rock versus Roman can still happen, but it doesn't have to culminate in a match. Remember what Dwayne said. Yeah, exactly. That's true. Dwayne was not wrong when he said that not everything has to culminate in a match. AJ said no wrestler should compare themselves to Cena or Undertaker. I mean, to be fair, it's Goldberg, who is a legend in his own right, but even Goldberg is not on the same level as John Cena or The Undertaker. Goldberg has enough clout to compare himself kind of to that level. It's not like we're talking Alex Riley here. But Goldberg, I mean, is still not. For as good as Goldberg was and for as successful as he is no Taker or Cena. Maria said, shame on you, Graham, for working Alexis. Hey, listen, she needed to be, I mean, it wasn't really that, like, I worked her a lot more and a lot longer for when Penta showed up in WWE. That one to me was a bigger surprise. That was a cooler surprise. That was a lot harder to keep under wraps. That was like a month-long process, maybe a month-and-a-half-long process of keeping her in the dark about Penta going to WWE. The AJ thing was only for like a day, not even. The Penta one was my my coup de grace. I know that's Finn Balor's finisher. What do you call it? Your ultimate like piece of work. I think it's the coup de grace. That was my coup de grace. As far as working her, it'll never get better than that. Wrestling-wise, it'll never get better than that. Richie said Cody could have hosted and had a match with Shane McMahon. What, it's Slammiversary? It could have hosted. Oh, WrestleMania? Oh, God, no. Cody and Shane, that would have been... You know what's funny? I said that would have been terrible. I think Cody and Shane actually had the first match, or one of the first matches, on WWE Superstars. Remember that show? It was basically like their version of WWE Main Event. It was around for a long time, but it was only ever on TV for a few years. In 2009 through 2011. Then it was on WWE.com after that. And then the WWE Network. But they did Cody and Shane, I think, on the first ever WWE Superstars episode. I think that episode was headlined by Cody Rhodes versus Shane McMahon. Fresh Fly says, Graham, to be fair, that heel turn and what we all thought with The Rock at the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view was great. It would have worked for Cena as a heel if Rock would have stayed committed to the story. It's not just the Rock thing. The Rock thing was terrible, but it would not have worked just if The Rock was around. John Cena does not work as a heel. He's clearly acting as a parody as a heel. He's not a good heel. John Cena's fucking awful as a heel. I don't know if he just sucks as a heel or he's not even really trying. Even if Rock was here, we would still have to deal with the John Cena promos, which have improved. They've been better recently, but they're largely still terrible. And he's also still very fucking limited in the ring. John Cena being limited in the ring, I feel like works better when he's a babyface because people are behind him anyway. As a heel, I feel like he actually has to work like a better match. John Cena himself, I feel like, can get away with doing the hits when he's a babyface. As a heel, it doesn't work as well. He's got to cheat and do all this other bullshit. It has not been good at all. So I wouldn't blame... I mean, a lot of the blame does go to The Rock, but it's not entirely on The Rock. Richie says, Cena's heel turn execution at Elimination Chamber was great, but his entire presentation should have been changed. I agree. Not the same Teletubby color and merch and music, let alone Dwayne's absence. Shame. Exactly. I completely agree with that. They really should have gone all in with it, and they refused to. Grunt said, what are your thoughts on Eric Bischoff's very timely comments saying TNA would be the number 2 promotion if they had a big TV deal? Yeah, I know he said that. Alexis said the side bumpers when bowling. Do you have the bumpers on when you ball? You wrote bowling wrong. You put BAWL, like bawling like you're crying. Okay. When I bowl, do I have the bumpers on? I mean, that obviously helps because I'm not a good bumper. I'm not a good bowler, but I will not advocate to put them up. If they're up, I'll use them. If they're not up, I'll still suck, but I can do decently without them. But anyway, back to the original question from Grunt. Yeah, I did see him say that. Ariel asked Eric Bischoff about that. Bischoff did give AEW some props for doing as well as they did at the Globe Life Field show recently. They did do a pretty impressive number there, so we did praise them for that. He did go on to criticize them after that. He did say he doesn't watch the show, so at least there's that. But that comment that he made about, TNA being the number 2 promotion if they had a bigger TV deal is just not true. I mean, TNA was number 2 for so long, but they were still so far behind WWE before AEW even became a thing that they were never going to overtake WWE. AEW will also never overtake WWE. But AEW was already doing much better business and bigger houses and everything. And they've only been around for, 6 years? That's another thing, too. TNA would be number 2 right now with a better TV deal. I love TNA. They would be better off with a better TV deal. But just with a better TV deal doesn't automatically equate to bigger business. I mean, they barely got 7,500 people in the building for that Slammiversary show on Sunday. That was their highest attendance ever, I think, in North America, I believe. AEW was doing that sort of shit their first fucking year. I mean, it's not even comparable. Even with the bigger stars that TNA had 15, 20 years ago, when Eric Bischoff was there, they were not doing the same houses that AEW was doing initially and even today. You can say the attendance for TNA or AEW was down, which it is. They are still doing bigger shows more consistently with more exposure and better money deals and everything than TNA ever did. That's just a fact. TNA only ever had one show. It's not like they were getting paid by Spike to have a second show, a second, flagship show. They had Explosion, but Explosion was never Rampage or Collision. There's just a big difference there. Let's see. Eric said, do you think Devon can get replaced by someone from his team on LFG? No, then what would the point be? What would the point be of doing the Hardys versus Bubba and another partner if the whole point is that the anniversary of their matches are Team 3D / the Dudleys versus the Hardys? That would just be dumb. Who, the fucking Undertaker? I mean, come on, Michelle McCool. The only answer would be Booker T. Are you talking about someone on his team like the rookies? Even that would be stupid. Who gives a shit? I mean, that might happen, but Bubba Ray and who? Fucking Shiloh Hill, who I like, but that's a waste of time. That could, honestly, there's a very decent chance of that happening. But that would completely defeat the purpose of what they hyped up in the first place, which also is just dumb. T-Von get the wheelchairs, Richie said. Richie also said, the Dudleys having a match in 2025 is insane, let alone a ladder match. I don't know if it's a ladder match. Maybe it is. They just fucking had a ladder match at Slammiversary on Sunday, so why would they need another ladder match? I hope it's not a ladder match. I think it's just a regular match. All despite AEW building up the Edge and Christian reunion stupid. I don't think they're doing it despite the Edge and Christian reunion, in my opinion. I think they're just doing it because it is the anniversary of the 25-year, the 25th anniversary of all their matches in WWE. It would have been cool for Edge and Christian to be involved, but obviously they're in AEW, so that's not going to happen. But no, I don't think they're doing it despite Edge and Christian. They could be. I mean, WWE is obviously petty, so I wouldn't put it past them. I think they're doing it because they know it's an attraction, and they've probably have wanted to do it for a while now, and they've teased it on social media, have the Hardys and even Bubba. So, I mean, this is not something I think that they're doing just despite Edge and Christian. I think this is something that honestly has been in the works now for quite some time. Grunt said, least we forget this isn't just the heel Cena run that everyone wanted. It's the record-breaking 17th world title reign that we're talking about. Yeah, exactly. That's what makes it worse. It's supposed to be like this historic title reign, the last title reign he'll ever have, and so far it's been a giant disappointment. He's not really around all that much. This really should have happened 10 years ago. To turn him heel at the fucking, 95-yard mark is just stupid to me. Why not turn him heel before that? Right now should be all about celebrating Cena's career, buying his merch, him being a babyface, not going out there and cheating. I mean, this is literally the absolute worst time for a John Cena heel turn. When he was already at a point where now everyone was starting to like him unanimously, they turn him heel. That honestly is just stupid. The timing sucked. Fernando said, What are your thoughts on the IWC having an obsession with Cody turning heel when he's still very popular? I don't get it. Like, people get booed of a character, turn him heel, turn him heel, turn him here, turn him heel, turn her heel. No. Cody is still extremely popular. Sure, he got some boos on SmackDown last week. You're going to turn him fucking heel because 10 people booed him? Give me a break. He's still excelling as a babyface. And the worst part is these people have no forethought. Like, they're not thinking ahead. They think it would make for this amazing moment, which it would be a cool moment for Cody to turn heel when it happens. I'm looking forward to it. But who do you have to replace Cody? These people have no answer. Jey Uso is not the fucking answer. Please do not anyone say Yeet or Jey Uso. Jey Uso is not the face of the company. I love LA Knight. They will never put him in that role. Who else is left? Randy Orton is 45 years old. It's not Randy Orton. It's not John Cena, who's retiring. It's not CM Punk, who's also 45 years old. Roman Reigns, the guy's not a full-timer. That doesn't make sense. They do not have anyone to replace Cody as the guy in WWE. Maybe in a few years with Braun Breaker or someone else, or Jacob Fatu potentially. Not now. Jacob Fatu isn't ready for that spot right now to be the guy. He's great, but he's not the guy. So let's stop this bullshit. Like, could it make sense? Maybe. But to get even like The Rock involved, it's like, stop. I mean, it's not the same thing, but people are also complaining, oh, I'm so bored of Rhea, which I get. We've talked about that before here, that the fatigue with Rhea Ripley, I get it. But you want to turn her heel? Like, why is that always the go-to answer? Did you fucking hear that reaction that woman got on Sunday, or got on Monday, and every other show she's been on for the last year and a half? Why would you turn her heel? That would be so astronomically stupid, like I said earlier, with something else. It would be so dumb. Give her more of a character arc. Give her fresh feuds. Take her off TV. Whatever it takes. Don't fucking turn her heel. Just because you don't like someone's character should not automatically mean, oh, turn this person heel. Like, no. If you watch the show, you see the merch they move. She's not, like, terrible. She's not, like, Learning Tree, just that intolerable to where I can't even take her on television. We're tired of her in the title picture. Cool. There's solutions for that don't require her turning heel. That would be fucking dumb to me. Let's see. When do you bowl? Do you still need to use the bumper? Is what he meant to say earlier. No. I don't need to use the bumper. Obviously, it helps. I don't ask to turn it on. I would probably get a judgy look, too, from the person that I would ask, who works at the bowling place, if I said, hey, can I use the bumper? I mean, also, honestly, at some of these places, they don't even allow you to turn on the bumper unless you have a kid with you. I mean, I wouldn't ask anyway, but I've seen, like, they have signs and shit where it says you cannot use the bumper if you're over, like, fucking 13 years old. Like, you can't even have them turned on because they probably break if you fucking throw the ball against it and shit. People have probably done that and have abused the privilege. Bowling is awesome, Fernando says. I agree. Fernando also said, miniature golf was my go-to move on first dates before my baby mama. Yeah, mini golf is a good one. I feel like movies are always that's a classic, like always movie and dinner. It's a good, like, classic first date. The problem there, though, is I love going to see movies, but the issue with seeing a movie is that you're not really getting to know the person that you're with. You might over dinner, but, like, is a movie like a good first date because it's like you don't really know the person, so you're having an excuse to not talk to them, but you are still in their presence, and obviously not go to, like, the makeout thing from day one, obviously. I guess if you're a fucking degenerate, then sure. But maybe, like, you know what, actually, maybe movies aren't such a bad first date because you can see the movie, meet up with this person, you kind of get a feel for them initially with your initial interactions by dealing with them before the movie. And then if it's just the movie, then that's dumb. That's true. But if it's dinner and a movie, you can go see the movie, and then seeing the movie will allow you something to talk about afterward of the date when you go to dinner. That makes more sense. So you have something to discuss. I feel like movie still works kind of better as like a second date. I feel like just meeting up and just talking first. Your first major interaction for a date being a movie is kind of not ideal. I feel like that might work better as a second date. Why are we even breaking this down? I have no idea why we're even really analyzing this. That's your dating advice for today. Let's see. Grunt said, agree. WWE will always be the big dog. It's all about not allowing them to have a monopoly on American wrestling that they've had for years. Listen, variety is always a great thing. There should always be an alternative to the main thing. If you don't like Marvel, you have DC. If you don't like Star Wars, you have Star Trek. You don't like Disney, you have Universal and stuff like that. There should always be an alternative. WWE now has that with AEW. You don't have to like AEW, but it's nice to have options, and for most importantly, for these people to have a place to work. Wrestling did not have that for a long time. They did have TNA and Ring of Honor, but they were never remotely on the same level as WWE. AEW was also not on WWE's level, but they're on a much higher level, akin to AEW or to WCW. The closest thing that we've had to WCW is AEW in terms of their exposure and not the booking stuff. Don't get me wrong. In terms of the way they're positioned, TV deals, the money they're making, stuff like that. The shows they're running. Grunt also said, because the thing about big companies is that they can never be big enough or rich enough. So the fact that AEW even exists to take some of their pie annoys them greatly. Good. Competition's a great thing. It should annoy WWE, and that should also cause them to put forth a better product, which they have. I mean, the thing is with Vince, though, the idea was when AEW came around, this is great, because not only is there an alternative, it should encourage WWE to do better, and they fucking didn't. I mean, you can complain about WWE today. WWE creatively you cannot tell me otherwise. WWE creatively is 1,000 times better today than it was 3 years ago with Vince McMahon in charge. It's not even close. It's not even close. You know what, actually? Today might be the day that Vince McMahon retired for the first time. I think today might be the anniversary. I think it was on July 22nd that happened. Now that I think about it, which is actually pretty amazing. Yeah, Vince retired, I think 3 years ago. I mean, retired, quote unquote, but yeah, honestly, anyway, the creative at that point was so fucking bad that it's just so much better in retrospect, in comparison now compared to what it was 3 years ago. But Vince did not really, it didn't, when they would have all those great AEW shows and they would take a lot of their talent, Vince did not care. Raw was still pretty bad. SmackDown was abysmal. They did not give a fuck. At least Triple H cares enough to put forth better shows. I mean, not amazing shows all the time, but their creative is still so much better because they realize that their shows have to be better in order to compete with AEW, which is good. Daniel, what's going on, brother? He said, Daniel, great to see you here in the chat, my friend. Shout out to Daniel. He said, answer the question for today's video. It has always been one-sided, but I'm sure TNA knew it would be going in. All right, that's his answer to the TNA one-sided question that we'll get to. Grunt said Sami Zayn, though that would take some building first. To be the guy, no. Sami Zayn, I love Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn will not be the face of the company. Sami Zayn is not Cody Rhodes. Sami Zayn is not the guy that you'll be putting out there to do media, all the Make-A-Wish stuff. Sami Zayn is a top guy and should be a world champion, but Cody Rhodes is just the guy that you can have do interviews. He's a great wrestler. He's a great talker. He's improved a lot in the last 10 years. He just kind of gets it. Not that Sami Zayn doesn't, but I just can't see him being that guy. He's also older, too. I mean, Sami Zayn might be older than Cody Rhodes. Crowning Cody Rhodes as the guy when he was already 38 years old probably wasn't ideal. Drew was that guy for a little bit. He was the top babyface for some time. But even him, it's like he's almost 40 now. Like, he's not the next guy. He already kind of has been the guy. Anyway, Daniel said, I'll never understand people suggesting turning popular babyfaces heel. Like, it's not that easy to get over as a face. So when it happens, it's better to just ride that wave. Ride that wave until that wave comes crashing down. When people start really turning on Cody, then you can turn him heel. When it makes sense to do it, then do it. It's not like business is taking a dip with Cody Rhodes on top or he's getting overwhelmingly negative reactions. This heel turn for Cena has actually done damage to Cody because it's affected Cody, him getting booed. Cody wasn't really getting booed, if you notice. Cody was back for 3 years, did not really get booed at all until John Cena turned heel and started feuding with him. Did you notice that? Probably should have avoided that by not doing the feud at all. But anyway, Grunt said coffee is an ideal for a date. Low stakes and to focus on getting to know to see if you vibe with them or not. That's a great point. Alexis said, happy birthday to Graham's sister. Thank you. Richie said, a good first... Why are we talking about date stuff now? He said, I guess I started that conversation myself. A good first date... Sorry. A good first date and bringing them to a is bringing them to a wrestling show, sorry, to see if they have elite ball knowledge or if they slander the product. That way you can indicate if they're marriage material. There you go. That is very true. Bring them to a fucking wrestling show. If they're into it, listen, I'm very lucky because Alexis is a fan. But if I ended up with someone who at least tolerated wrestling, I would have been still content. You can't, if you're a wrestling fan, you cannot, like, it's almost illegal to marry someone or to be with someone who does not like wrestling at all. I just don't understand that. Like, if you don't care about it or if you don't go to the shows, that's fine. But there are people. Please stop texting me, Alexis. She's texting me stupid shit right now. Anyway. I just don't understand being with someone that like vehemently hates professional wrestling. If you are a diehard fan, if you like it and they hate it, that's one thing. But if you fucking love it and they just despise it, I don't see how that works. If all you watch is wrestling and you go to the shows, I just don't see how you can be with someone who just loathes it. Like, is annoyed by it is one thing. I'm talking about someone who, like, there are plenty of people I know that fucking hate wrestling. That I don't understand. Like, I'm not even saying being friends with those people. I'm talking about, like, willingly getting involved in a relationship with them. I just don't think that's going to work out. Fresh Fly said, movie is not a good first date. You got to do something fun like bowling, Topgolf, or something. Yeah, maybe bowling or Topgolf so you can let them win. And you know how to play ball. Not literally, but like, oh, you know, just a good guy, going to let you win. Or you really teach them a hard lesson by destroying them and teaching them humility out of the gate. And not allowing them to think. Alexis. Please stop with the stupid sun emojis. Stop. It's an inside joke thing. It's really dumb. Maybe you can... Alexis, I will boot you. I will boot you from the stream. I legitimately will. As a mod, I don't care. Anyway, you can just destroy them out of the gate in any of these games and then show them, hey, listen, I'm not going to allow you to win for the rest of your life. For as long as we're together. It's very possible. We have the ghost of Alex Trebek here today. That's amazing. Let's all play Jeopardy together. Incredible. Happy birthday to Alex Trebek. I didn't know it was his birthday, but he's back from the dead. So many birthdays today, indeed. So many birthdays this week. A lot of birthdays, Richie said. Richie's birthday's on Friday as a reminder. Thank you, Daniel, and everyone else who said happy birthday to my sister today. Appreciate it. GCW555 said the same thing as well. Hi, everyone, he said. GCW, hope you're doing well, brother. Let's see. I got to backtrack a little bit. I missed a couple chats here. Oh, man. Grunt said, I believe you're correct. Happy anniversary to Vince finally pissing off the first time. Exactly. Happy anniversary indeed. I just remember I was out for pizza, and I look at my phone. I don't know I think RJ may have texted me. He may have texted me saying Vince retired, and I was like, no fucking way. And then I checked my phone, and I'm like, this can't be real. A lot of July birthdays indeed. Alexis said, we had a good first date. Dinner on a movie encompasses us as a relationship in a nutshell. Food and movies. That is our relationship indeed. As Alexis said. Maria said, what did you and Alexis do on your... Alexis gets very mad when you call her Alexa by accident. The funny thing is that you can't really call her Alexa because it says her name in the chat is Alexis. So you can't even like... If you heard me say Alexis, but you thought I said Alexa, that's understandable. Or if you just remembered her name was like Alex something. If she's here in the chat, Maria, we love you, but she gets very bothered when you call her Alexa. I people call me Greg, they call me Garrett, they call me, what did I get recently? Alexis knows. I was getting food somewhere at the airport, and you know how they ask for your name? I said Graham. They thought my name, they thought my name was Gwen M. I swear to God. They go, Gwen M. Because I asked the guy, he goes, what's the name? I said, Graham. He goes, what was that? I said, Graham. I know it's loud, but like, you're just fucking deaf. And then he goes, can I get a last initial with that? I said, M. So they thought my name was Gwen.
I said Graham. Like, I could see, like, Grant. Like, I know it's not Graham is a very dumb way to pronounce my name. I'm not even offended by it at this point. I just laugh. Honestly, I say when people ask for my name and that sort of stuff, when they ask for a name for like food or something or like calling a name up, I say Derek. So if you ever are with me and that situation arises and I say my name is Derek, that's why. Because people mispronounce my name all the time or call me something else that I just say my name is Derek because it's just a lot easier. And I like Derek as a name anyway. But what did we do on our first date? Alexis already answered this, but we got Mexican food and we saw Jurassic World 2. Not Jurassic Park 2, Jurassic World, whatever one came out 6-7 years ago. That's a meme as well. Alexis will laugh at that. My sister would laugh at that. Anyway, but yeah, we saw a movie and we got food. That's it. So I guess movies aren't a good first date, but it was for us because we don't give a fuck. But we ate dinner beforehand, so I actually take back what I said. We got to know each other. I mean, we already worked with each other, so it didn't really matter. But we ate beforehand and then saw the movie. But the movie was late that we couldn't go eating afterward. Anyway, Daniel said, SN, spilled water on my phone right now after texting you on Friday about AJ. Bad luck continues. LOL. Daniel, you are not having a great last month, my man. My thoughts are with you. I am sending you good vibes. Hopefully things improve. But yes, we were texting about AJ Styles on Friday, and I guess Daniel hurt his phone. Spilled water on it. Daniel, what is going on? I don't blame you. It's just the bad luck gods are with you right now. God bless. Yeah, Alexis said we went to a movie and had dinner before that. I have still not answered a single fucking question, by the way. I talked a lot about TNA, but I still have yet to answer Richie's question, which was the headline for the video. There weren't a lot of questions sent in this week, so I'll get to those questions and just answer them in one fell swoop, and then we'll go back to the chat and we'll wrap up. There's just a lot of activity in the chat today, so I want to address everyone while we're still here. Anyway, JCW says it also doesn't help that Cody's talked about wanting to turn heel relatively soon in interviews too. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if he said he wanted to turn heel soon. I think he just said, like, there's probably a time, like, I appreciate his honesty. He said, there's probably a way, like, he hasn't said, oh, I'll never turn heel. He said, yeah, I'll turn heel probably in the next 2 to 3 years, which is probably a timeline that makes sense anyway. You can't be a babyface for like fucking 10 years and as a top guy and not turn heel. Like, people will get sick of you. So he knows he has to turn heel, but I mean, he probably meant when it makes sense and not when people, like, he understands people are booing him now. But he can't be dumb enough to think, oh, they're 10% of the audience is booing me. If that, I should probably turn heel. No, that would just be ridiculous. Yeah, Richie asked Alex Trebek if he's back. He's back. He's back from the dead. We have Alex Trebek here today. We had a WNBA player here in the chat a few weeks ago. We have a lot of celebrities here in the hashtag AskGSM chat. So you're just really missing out if you do not tune in live here on Tuesday afternoons. Grunt said, but what if I'm on a date with a guy and I want to be the one who gets to win? And you want to be the one who gets to win? Well, I mean, maybe he'll let you win. I mean, I don't know. I'm not really sure. If you're on a date with a guy and if he wants to let you win, I mean, I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know. I mean, has there ever been a scenario? Has anyone here? I mean, going on a date with another guy and then dealing with the dilemma of, are you going to let him win or is he going to let you win? If you guys are both doing fucking terrible, then you probably should get the message that the other one is probably trying to let you win. The guys typically, well, sometimes do that. I mean, I probably would not, honestly. If I was on a bowling date with Alexis, I would probably show her up to show her that I was better than her, and I'm not gonna compromise my skills like that. I just feel like, she'll like me for who I am and not because she thinks that she's a good bowler. She'll get the message I'm a nice guy by me doing other things, not because I let her win bowling. But has anyone ever been in a situation where they were on a date with a girl and the girl let them win bowling? That would just be fucking funny. They just feel bad for you. Like, whether it's someone that you ended up, like, dating or marrying or not. Like, I'm just talking about, like, any regular date. Has the girl ever let you win? That's just funny to me. I mean, it's nice, but I could see it being, like, emasculating for the man. I don't really think it is that big of a deal, but it just would be funny because you don't really typically hear of that sort of stuff happening. Let's see. I'd be flattered, personally. Fresh Fly said, I heard that in Las Vegas, they're adding Uno as something you can play to win money. Next year with Mania being on Vegas for a second time, will you be attempting this? Yes. Daniel and I already talked about this, but it's not real though. I think it's part of a promotion. Daniel and I texted about it, and he said that's where you can find me. That's what he said. That's where you can find him next year in Mania Week. I said I'll be right there with you because I'm not gambling, but I would fucking play Uno. I'm a good Uno player, I would say. Don't want to sound too cocky, but I feel like I'm a pretty decent Uno player. But I think it came out from Uno themselves that they're not actually incorporating it as a game you can bet on or something, but it's part of a promotion or an online thing they're doing. I don't know. But if that was real, I would definitely take part in that. That would be awesome. Let's see. Fresh Fly said, could you imagine winning thousands of dollars by beating some drunk people at Uno Mania weekend? That would be a great way to spend a weekend, in my personal opinion. Yeah, Alexis said Gwen M. Richie said Garrett makes no sense. It's not even close. So it's not, I get Garrett when people just don't remember my name. Like, I don't get, like, if I tell someone my name is Graham and they mishear me and they hear Garrett, I mean, I guess you get the G down. It's not like you thought my name was Nicholas or something. But that would make a whole lot of sense. I've gotten Garrett before from people who just did not remember my name. Like, for example, like Richie, for example. If I knew your name started with an R, but I didn't remember your name, and I thought it was Ryan, but it's like, that doesn't even sound like Richie. Like, I just might remember it as being an R name. Like, that happens all the time. Like, Alexis and I were discussing someone that we were at New Balance a couple months ago, and the guy that worked there, I remembered mistakenly that his name was like fucking Dimitri or something. His name was actually Dante. But I got the D part of the name right, you know. Didn't get the name right, but I got the, at least I got the D part of the name right. So that I can get. But if you hear me say Graham, and then you think I say Garrett, like, phonetically, that doesn't make sense. Like, if you just hear it, that doesn't sound similar. But if you remembered my name, I was like, it starts with a G, but I don't know what it is. Oh, it's Garrett, right? I mean, Garrett might be a more common name than Graham. So honestly, I wouldn't blame you for that. I just go, sure, let's go with it. Maria said it was a typo, that she called her Alexis, or Alexa instead of Alexis by accident. Yeah, I've been called, I've been written, I literally have a picture of at an airport. I think it was like Shake Shack or something. They called me Cream. On the receipt, they said Cream. Like, my name was Cream. You can't make this shit up. I mean, to be fair, they did not speak great English. They were foreign. So it's not as if it was just this, 18-year-old, fresh out of high school girl named Brittany who thought my name was Cream. I mean, they were not American, let's put it that way. And they thought, they misheard me. They thought my name was Cream. They probably haven't heard the name Graham before. Totally fine, but still fucking hilarious. And the fact they called me Gwen was just ridiculous. That guy spoke English. That guy just couldn't fucking hear. That guy was just deaf. He was not foreign or anything like that. He did not speak a different language or did not speak English well. He spoke English perfectly fine. This was in Charlotte, North Carolina, at an airport. And he thought my name was Gwen. You cannot make this shit up. Daniel said, Alexis also does accept Tyreek as an Elias because she is Tyreek. That is true. If you call her Tyreek, she might answer to that because that's also her name. That's her alter ego. Anyway, I'm going to backtrack a little bit here. Thoughts and prayers. THOTS. Yeah, thoughts and prayers indeed. Oh, man, you guys are just being funny in the chat now. Daniel said, I'll tell people my name is Dan, yet people will think I'm saying Darren or Dale. Dale doesn't make sense. I can hear Darren or Darren, Daniel, Day. Like, you hear Day and like Darren. Okay. Daniel doesn't sound like Dale. Dale is one sentence or one syllable. That doesn't make sense. Eric said, a reason why Santana might not win is because his contract is up in December. Well, we talked about that before. It's still a fucking dumb reason, but that could be why, honestly. They might realize he's on his way out and they don't want to put the belt on him, but even if he is, put the belt on him until then and then take the title off of him in December. Makes that decision on Saturday even stupider. Daniel said, in Miami, I said Dan, and I thought the girl thought I said Jalen. I just don't get it. That doesn't make any sense. That's not even close. Fresh Fly said, Do you still enjoy the live format, or do you miss the recorded version of hashtag AskGSM? Me, personally, I enjoy the live format more. That way I get to talk with you guys and answer questions live. The shows are longer, but it's because I'm speaking with you guys live. I prefer the live version, honestly. It also, like, behind the scenes wise, does help me out time wise. It probably comes out to the same time. I spend more time recording and talking to you guys than I did originally when the shows were shorter and I would just answer questions. But when I used to like record the show, the way I would do it was, obviously I still put all together the questions and stuff, but I would record it and then I would have to process it, and I would have to process the video, and then I would have to upload it to YouTube. That whole thing would take a while. At least this way, when it's live, I'm recording it, and I'm recording it while I'm filming it, and I don't have to upload it to YouTube because it's already on YouTube. So as soon as we're done here, it's already on YouTube. I don't have to re-upload it or edit it or whatever. That shit can take a long time. So honestly, it probably comes out to the same amount of time, definitely less, especially if the episodes that I do are shorter here live. I think we're already an hour and 43 minutes in, and I haven't answered a single question yet. I apologize. That was sent in ahead of time. But anyway, I love the live formats more. If you guys like the pre-recorded stuff more, please let me know, and I will do. If the overwhelming majority prefers the recorded version over the live version, we don't have to have the show be live. But personally, my laptop's the biggest issue. I never really considered doing the show live. I didn't have the software for it. I didn't really think it'd be possible. But the other thing why I didn't do it live previously, and my laptop would not have been able to take it. My other laptop that I had for about 5 years was so fucking broken down. Like, it was broken down from the moment I got it. Like, I just did not get the right specs for the laptop. I didn't really know what I needed. The laptop I have now that I bought a year ago from last Thursday, this is legitimately one of the best purchases I have ever made in my entire life. Like, it is quick, it is functional, it is easy to use. I've had legitimately no issues with it. Do not want to jinx it, but it is so quick to process shit. And I paid more money for this than I have any other laptop, but I didn't pay like fucking $3,000. I don't have an Apple laptop. I have a simple HP. I forgot what it's called, but like a 360 Envy or whatever. It's a great laptop. It processes things very quickly. So even when I'm not live and I record things, it doesn't take me all day to do it. It doesn't take me hours on end to do it. I can record something, process the video, and upload it probably within an hour if I want to, which is amazing. If the video is a longer one. Even if the video is longer, I could still do it within an hour. That's how great this laptop is. Anyway, Daniel said none of the celebs top Love Ziggler. Love Ziggler is still the best celeb we've ever had here in this chat, and he will never be topped. Not even close. Richie says, I've never been on a date with a guy, but screw that, I'm a win. Yeah, I mean, if you're on a date with a guy, I mean, even with a girl, like I said, just my personal advice, they should like you for you and not the fact that you let them win. And if it's the show, oh, you're a nice guy, well, listen, you can fucking buy them dinner or something. You don't have to let them win at bowling. What does that even really prove? That you pity them and that you think that they can't win on their own? You know what I mean? Everything is a competition. I can't let you go over. Exactly. That doesn't work for me, brother. That's what I say. GS and Balea, baby. Doesn't work for me. I saw someone say that. Yes, Graham Balea. Balea Matthews. Let's see. Grunt said, you can't stay a babyface for 10 years as the top face of the company. I wish Vince and Cena got that memo. No, I mean, you literally could, but I'm saying it's not good because you'll get booed eventually. John Cena was always a babyface as the face of the company, and WWE did well business-wise, but character-wise, he was fucking just insufferable for so long because they did not turn him when they should have when it made sense. And they should have turned 15 years ago, at the latest. Alexis said, Graham has never once made himself look bad or admit that he's wrong just to appease me. One thing about him that he's always burying me and proving me wrong. LOL. Only when it's necessary. I'm not going out of my way to prove her wrong. Well, I mean, sometimes it depends on what we're talking about. I'll bury her if she makes her own self look dumb. I don't go out of my way to make other people look stupid or to prove them wrong unless they said something where they themselves were wrong. It's only when people shit on me for being like, oh, but you said this, you said that, blah, blah, blah. Hey, listen, I try to choose my words very wisely. I try not to backtrack on things. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'll tell you I'm wrong. But if I say something and you call me and you say, oh, you're a fucking idiot, and then I end up being right, then I would like my credit because otherwise you were shitting on me. And that goes for Alexis as well. But yes, I've never made myself look bad on purpose just to make that other person look better. I mean, I will do stuff for other people, but I'm not going to make someone feel better by making myself look bad. That just seems silly to me. Again, depends what we're talking about, but yeah, she is wrong. Daniel said my last GF let me win at mini golf. LOL. That's funny. Was she a good girlfriend or was she a bad girlfriend? I think we talked about how it ended recently, Daniel, but was that a good sign or was that a red flag? It's like, okay, maybe I won't allow the next girl I date to let me win at mini golf in the future. That's nice, but what does that mean overall? You know what I mean? What does that say about that person? Do they pity me? It is worth analyzing. Fernando said date talk and WrestleRant. Indeed. That's what the show's been today. Reggie said the D part. Graham GSM Balea. Goddamn right. I'm not putting you over, brother. I will put people over when it makes sense. If you're just right, then great. But I'm not gonna I don't know. It's kind of hard to explain. Daniel said getting the D right is a crazy sentence. It's a crazy sentence. Fuck you for calling me Gwen. That's gonna stick now. I probably should have never shared that story. Oh my God. Grunt said same. Having a girlfriend who was better at things than me would be great. Yeah, if she was just better, then that's fine. If she was letting me win, I don't know how I would think about that. If she's just better, I mean, there's plenty of things Alexis is better at than I am, and that's totally fine. I don't give a fuck. Yeah, Alexis said she thought my name was Grant at first. That is true. True story. Cream GSM Matthews. Let's not Gwen Cream. Hey, let's not get off the rails here with these fucking nicknames. You two might start banning people thinking you're talking about something else. Fernando, Gwen Cream is crazy. Fernando said, if you want an awesome first date, just tune in on WrestleRant every Tuesday and Thursday, LOL. Yeah, we got the dates. I got all these stories. You ask me the right questions, I'll give you the right answers. Richie said, live is lit. I need this to boost my morale at work. Oh, I'm happy to hear that, Richie. Thank you. Grunt said, nah, live streams forever. I think so as well. I appreciate that. Daniel said, nah, the live version reigns supreme. I think so as well. Fernando also says live. I prefer live. Maria says stay alive. Hey, unanimous decision. Stay alive, brother. I don't think we'll ever go back to the pre-recorded version of hashtag unless I need to record the show ahead of time because I can't go live any certain week if I'm away or if I'm traveling or busy or whatever. I haven't done that so far in 2025. It's always been just live shows all year, but there might come a time, like one-off episodes, where I might have to pre-record because I'm away. But otherwise, the show will always be live. It's like when they finally took Raw live weekly. I mean, SmackDown, same thing. Remember it was a tape show for so many decades? And then it finally went live every week starting in 2016. I can't even imagine it going back to what it once was. Gentlemen, let the ladies win, Maria says. Okay, that's Maria's opinion. Okay. Alexis' heel persona is Tyreek. Tyreek, Miss Maud Matthews. Seriously, Richie, I agree. Got to give it your all, even on dates. Grunt says, I agree with that as well. Alexis said, okay, I'm not even going to combat this anymore, whatever. What even is this chat? Great question, Grunt. I do not know. I'll read through these next couple chats, and we'll go to these scheduled questions, and then I'll come back to the chat after. But Daniel said, I thought it was cool at the time. Meanwhile, the relationship ended months later. Well, then you know what? She was a bitch then. So maybe avoid that in the future as far as if she lets you in, red flag perhaps. I don't know if that's related to why the relationship ended, but, could have been. I don't know. These are things we may never know the answer to. Fresh Fly said, are these the last dream matches for Roman Reigns? Excuse me. Number 1, Roman versus Rock. 2, Roman versus Punk. 3, Roman versus Braun Breaker. Are those the last dream matches for Roman Reigns? There might be more, but as more people get called up, like Roman Reigns and Obafemi. Currently, yes. I mean, Roman and Rock, I'm convinced we're not getting. Roman and Punk, we've actually gotten before, and we got a version of it at Mania and a triple threat. So I don't know if it's really a dream match necessarily. And Roman and Braun, that's a dream match. We're probably getting the tag match at SummerSlam. But, yeah, that is a dream match. That's probably, honestly, the biggest dream match of them all. Roman and Rock at this point would probably be disappointing. Roman and Punk we've already gotten. And Roman and Breaker, I think, is the biggest dream match of those 3. And there might be more, but those are the 3 big ones. I would probably agree with that. Daniel said, no need to make the pivot to pre-record. Yeah, no need to pull a Dwayne Johnson and pivot, baby. Fresh Fly said, do you like Chili's and what's your go-to order? I used to love Chili's because they used to have chicken and waffles that I love there. My college roommate turned me on to chicken and waffles when we were in college, and I loved it. So I got it one time because a friend of mine at the time recommended that I get it at Chili's, and it's very filling. But I loved it. It was excellent. And I got it almost every time we went to Chili's. We would go to Chili's just for that. And then we were there one day on my I think the last time, one of the last times we were there, they had it. I think we were there on my birthday and they had it 3 years ago. But then we went there like a month or so later before the Ring of Honor show in Lowell, Mass, and they did not have it. And I was told they discontinued it. I was fucking pissed. Or no, maybe it was Christmas, actually. I think we were there on Christmas in 2022, and my heart was broken that they got rid of it. They haven't brought it back. So now I think I just get the chicken strips or the chicken tenders, whatever the fuck. It's usually something chicken related. I used to get the chicken and waffles. I used to love Chili's because of that. It was like my top 4 chain restaurants, top 4 favorite chain restaurants, but not anymore. I haven't been there all that much since then. Richie said SmackDown as a tape show with the piped in cheers and boos was an awful time. And that lasted a long time too. Like that lasted over a decade. It's crazy. Roman versus Alicia Fox. Not quite as good as Alicia Fox versus Cameron, or Melina rather, but potentially close. Alexis said, is Micah here or did we scare him away from all of the Benoit talk a couple of weeks ago? No, Micah is not here, although I think he was on WrestleRant Radio last Thursday. I think he was in the chat after the Benoit thing. I think he's been in one of the chats since then, but Micah, as far as I know, is not here today. And if he is, he's not saying anything. Richie said, Roman versus Mr. Iguana. Yeah, that whole Mr. Iguana thing was so weird because that whole thing blew up after Worlds Collide last month, and then they really capitalized on it for like a week by putting him in the crowd in NXT. They put him in video packages, tweeted about him. I have not heard a fucking thing about Mr. Iguana since. As quickly as that whole fad started, as quickly as it died out. It's kind of remarkable, honestly. All right, let's get to these questions here, and then I'll get back to the chat after. So if you're watching live, commenting live, tuning in with us live, do not think I'm ignoring you. I will get back to the comments in a little bit after I answer these scheduled questions. Richie was the first one. So like I said, Richie sent this in through Twitter. Typically, I go to YouTube first. But because Richie's a channel member, he gets his questions answered first. So at Richie Rich, 93 _ on Twitter, his question was, what are your thoughts on this obvious one-sided partnership with WWE and TNA? It seems fine the WWE talent can win TNA titles and go over their talent as they please, but the same can't be said for TNA, which completely derails their talent's momentum. Slammiversary, for example. So I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not going to be... I spoke about this briefly for those that haven't checked it out, and thank you to everyone that watched it, checked it out, left a comment, whatever. I was kind of still fired up about what we saw at Slammiversary on Sunday. So I did a quick YouTube short on Sunday, or on Monday, rather. I did a short yesterday of WrestleRant and Rave, talking about what happened at Slammiversary and also the NXT partnership. I don't think, and I'm not saying you're calling it a failure, Richie, but some people have already said, oh yeah, the NXT partnership isn't working, it's killing TNA, blah, blah, blah. That's just not true. It's not as if TNA was doing exceptional things with all this buzz before WWE started working with them. They did rebrand it TNA without WWE's help. That would have been late 2023, early 2024. Jordynne Grace was in the Rumble mere weeks later, but TNA had some buzz on its own. What really killed TNA's momentum last year was when they fired Scott D'Amore. They had a lot of momentum, and they flushed it down the toilet and ruined a lot of the morale in that company when Scott D'Amore left. Now, they've kind of rebuilt some of that goodwill with Carlos Silva as the president. He's been all over, not the show, but like they've shown him on screen. He's done the media rounds, and they've done a lot of great things with TNA since then, a lot of great attendance. So whatever momentum they lost, they kind of got back. To the point where they did their highest attendance, I believe, ever, if not in the last 12, 13 years, at Slammiversary, setting their North American attendance record. That does not happen. You do not do that without the assistance of WWE. Of WWE promoting your shows on social media and on NXT television, having your TNA World Champion at the Rumble and at WrestleMania, getting more people exposure for that promotion than they would have gotten otherwise. Because WWE probably has a lot of new fans or some returning fans that don't watch TNA, don't even know what TNA is. But when they see Joe Hendry and know that he's over and see him with the TNA World Championship, they know that this is a big deal. So, I mean, people can make fun of Joe Hendry getting eliminated from the Rumble in 90 seconds or his 3-minute loss to Randy Orton. That did more to help TNA than almost anything else in the last 15 years, to be perfectly honest with you. It was a sinking ship for over a decade. Them losing money, they had to start running smaller arenas. I mean, they were on networks and no one was even fucking watching. Remember the Pursuit Network, the Hunting Network, and all this other nonsense? That's what they were on for so long. No one was talking about TNA. They had a good roster, but no one was talking about TNA. And the creative just really wasn't that great anyway. But the creative's been largely good in the last year and a half. We've gotten some great dream matches out of the partnership. The Rascals reuniting, the Hardys versus Fraxium, Obafemi versus Moose, Roxanne Perez versus Jordan Grace, among other matches. It's really worked out well. The biggest knock on it now is that they have their top 2 titles. It's not as if, again, you need to really watch all the shows to get a better grasp of how well this TNA partnership is working for TNA. A lot of the storylines are seamless and have carried on, have been furthered on both Impact and NXT. But even on TNA programming, they've had TNA people beat NXT people. They've had TNA people beat NXT people on NXT television. They had fucking Zachary Wentz as the X Division champion beat Wes Lee, however much that means, at a WWE NXT PLE last fall. So it's not as if the TNA people are not winning anything. That's just not true. They've had people, build them up for TNA title shots in WWE or in TNA. Cora Jade when she worked in NXT. Ethan Page. They all lost. They all lost in TNA. So it's not as if WWE is beating all of their talent. And TNA, by the way, has a lot more to gain from this partnership than WWE does. They're using TNA talent. NXT gets more buzz. TNA gets better business. NXT is still an umbrella, still part of the WWE, easy for me to say, still part of the WWE umbrella. NXT is not what it once was. I actually wrote an entire article about that for Bleacher Report today. Check that out. Addressing NXT's current struggles. But NXT will be fine. They're attached to WWE. TNA will not always be fine. If they don't get that WWE boost or that exposure or that goodwill from fans and whatnot, they're fucked. They could end up off of Access. Access they'll probably always be on anyway because they're owned by Access. But people won't buy their shows. They might not get new talent. They might not get the buzz. But the WWE partnership has helped a lot. I will not sit here and say, though, that putting their 2 top titles on WWE talent on the exact same fucking show was a bright idea. That does not help the perception of TNA wrestling whatsoever in WWE's eyes. WWE took their top 2 titles and just left the show on a TNA pay-per-view, no less. That is what I'm not a fan of. The partnership was one-sided at Slammiversary. Has it been one-sided overall? No. TNA has benefited a lot. NXT has benefited as well. I think it's been pretty fucking equal up until maybe the last month or so. Putting your top titles in NXT people are fine, but the 3 issues that I said that I had with it earlier, I'll say again for those that weren't here or just to repeat it for the sake of this question. 1, if you want to extend the TNA Trick TNA World Champion experiment, cool. The problem is you did that by putting him in Long Island against Mike Santana, the hometown guy, and Mike Santana lost. Granted, he was not pinned one-on-one. That would have been even worse. Honestly, I think Trick retaining the TNA title at Slammiversary, if the show was anywhere else, against anyone else, it probably wouldn't have been as big of a deal. If they were in Ohio and he had a rematch with Joe Hendry, I wouldn't have really cared. As far as it's not that big of a deal. But Santana's the hot hand. He's deserving of that push. They were in his home state. Even if he wins it at Bound for Glory in October, it will not be the same. That's 1. 2, JC Jane is not the person to be building both your Knockouts and NXT Women's divisions around. She's not that good. They have much better options. The idea that she beat Masha Slamovich, who is great, losing to JC Jane is a fucking joke. Perception is everything. And 3, if they had done one and not the other, I don't really think it's that big of a deal. If they had the TNA, the TNA World Championship on Trick Williams, the whole Trick and A thing going on, and they had that going on for a few months without the Mike Santana factor being at play there, I don't think it would be that big of a deal. You can keep the belt on Trick for a few months. I mean, Trick at this point has been in developmental forever. I mean, the guy's going to be almost 40 still in fucking developmental, which is kind of crazy. He's not almost 40, but he is older. He's not in his 20s, let's put it that way. It kind of delays the Trick Williams call-up to the main roster, but whatever. If you want to just do that, then cool. But to do the Trick Williams TNA thing, and then also do JC Jane holding both belts That's where I draw the line. The only saving grace here, it's not even like, oh yeah, when they get the belts back at Bound for Glory, it's not going to mean anything. They think it's like worth it. It really isn't. You can continue working with NXT without giving them your top two fucking titles. You can work with them and benefit as they have and get good buzz out of it without making yourselves look extremely weak by losing your top titles to NXT. Sure, they had their TNA team beat Dark State. Who gives a fuck? Dark State lost one match and it was to them. Who cares? Losing your top two titles is a lot worse than whatever was gained from them beating Dark State earlier in the show, an NXT group losing to TNA talent. I know the whole idea is for them to get the belts back probably by Bound for Glory. I just don't think it's worth it. I really don't. Like, we'll see what happens tonight on NXT, but a lot of people have said the only way this works is if they do an invasion. That would be cool. I'd be down for a TNA invasion. That could work, depending on how it goes. If it's as bad as the WWE, WCW, ECW invasion from 2001, then we're fucked. But if they book it properly, which I'm not optimistic, then maybe it could work. Maybe it could make for some interesting television on NXT going forward and on TNA Impact on Thursdays. That's the only way this could maybe be salvaged, is by doing an invasion. NXT are the bad guys, and TNA want their titles back. But I just don't think WWE having to always be the hero would make NXT look like the bad guys with TNA going over in the end. TNA will get their belts back, but I don't know if it's going to be like do that much good that could not have just been done otherwise by not putting your top two titles on JC Jane and Trick Williams for an extended period of time. Jordan B. from YouTube, their question was, like I said, a lot of TNA questions here today. He asked, what was your reaction in 2012 when TNA revealed Dillon as a member of the Aces and Eights? I actually thought it was kind of cool because I thought they would reveal Bully Ray as the leader of Aces and Eights at Bound for Glory that night, and they held off on that until lockdown like the following March. So they really dragged out that storyline. But for it to be Dillon instead as the leader, that wouldn't have worked because Dillon's not a leader of anything. But as a member of the group, I thought it was cool because Dillon was also gone from the company. He left the company or got released or whatever a few months earlier. And there was a lot of like buzz and, not outrage. I think that was real too. I don't know if that was part of the storyline. I could be wrong. But like it was cool to see him back, but as a heel doing something with a group that like you got that Bully Ray Dillon storyline rekindled, but they were with the roles reversed with Dillon as the heel and Bully Ray as the babyface. Until it came out that Bully Ray was the leader the entire time. That came out a few months later, but I actually thought it was cool. Aces and Eights overall was a failure. The group sucked. There were moments where they were interesting and I was kind of invested, but then they lost whenever it mattered most. The booking sucked, and it really killed TNA's momentum. Whatever momentum they had in 2012 was killed by the Aces and Eights bullshit that really did not benefit anyone other than Bully Ray for a short period. Fresh Fly, who's here in the chat, they sent in a question ahead of time asking, if you were on a game show, Family Feud, who would you pick to be your four teammates? So I've never seen Family Feud. I know what Family Feud is. I've never played Family Feud. I've never watched the show. I don't know how that works, so I don't know who would really give me an advantage on Family Feud. I'll just pick my four favorite wrestlers, I guess, that being AJ Styles, CM Punk, Christian, and William Regal. Just because I think it'd be cool to be on a game show with the four of them. I don't know if we would win, but I think we'd have a decent chance. Honestly, if I was on a game show, it would not be Family Feud. It would not be Jeopardy. It would not be Wheel of Fortune. It would be Deal or No Deal. I would fucking win that shit without ever taking the banker's offer. I have a pretty good track record in Deal or No Deal. Alexis can attest to it. Not every time. The last time I played on the video game version, I fucking sucked, but usually I know how to pick my cases. Anyway, his second question was, hot take, tell me why TNA Slammiversary is a better book card than SummerSlam 2025. I'm not going to do that because it's not. TNA Slammiversary was a good show. I do think SummerSlam will be better. Slammiversary on paper is absolutely not a better card than SummerSlam. First of all, SummerSlam is 2 nights and just has more matches. But at SummerSlam alone, even if we're not getting Roman and Breakker, we're getting Roman and Jay versus Breakker and Reed, which is a good tag team match. Cena and Cody should hopefully be better than their Mania match, but this time they're going to have a no DQ stipulation, which is nice. We're getting Becky and Lyra, which should be great, also a no DQ stipulation for the women's IC title. Jade and Tiffany should be good, hopefully. The triple threat with the women, Naomi, Rhea, Io, should be a great match. all of those women's matches are far better than, and I like Indy, but it's going to be they should all be better than Indy versus Tessa, and especially Masha versus JC, which I was largely bored by. The tag team title match at Slammiversary was very fun. They don't even have a tag team title match at Slammiversary or at SummerSlam, so they do have the advantage in that respect. But SummerSlam also has Solo and Jacob inside of a steel cage, which I think should be good, especially given the stipulation. Gunther and Punk, I think, should be a really good match. You know, they'll probably announce more matches coming up. Dominic and AJ should be fun as well. Yeah, I just think SummerSlam is a much more appealing card than Slammiversary on paper. Just my opinion. I think Slammiversary, even the execution of the show is actually worse than the card itself. The card was good. The card on paper was very good. But I also think the card for SummerSlam is much more stacked, in my opinion. I think All In had the better card than both of them. But if we're only comparing Slammiversary and SummerSlam, SummerSlam has the edge over Slammiversary, in my opinion. The Average Grunt from YouTube. I don't know why I still have his question here. I wrote his question down from last week asking what the better show was between Mania and All In. Maybe because I just said All In just there. That's why I wanted to read the question. But yeah, I forgot to delete that, actually. I had that from last week. I can answer it again, though. It was All In. All In was the better show than Mania. Anyway, Noob asked, what are your thoughts on JC Jane winning the TNA Knockouts Championship and Trick Williams retaining the TNA World title? How will TNA feel about the NXT talent winning their main titles? And will we see some form of invasion angle on NXT this week? So I already answered this question, all of it actually, really, earlier. JC Jane winning I thought was garbage. Trick retaining I also thought was garbage. Not because I don't like Trick or the whole Trick and A thing. It's because Santana should have won at Slammiversary in New York. They were dumb not to do that. At least he was in the match. But it was ridiculous he did not win the championship on that show. JC Jane winning might have been worse, though, because I think JC Jane is just very, 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 very average. And they just have better people who could be in that spot. They're just having her win at this point to prove to people, to shock people. I think that's really where we're at now. Her beating Masha and Jordan and Stephanie is honestly egregious. Because JC is worse than all of them. How will TNA feel about it? I don't think they fucking care. I mean, the TNA talent probably aren't super high on it, that they're being made to look inferior to NXT right now. TNA itself, the higher-ups probably love it. They obviously signed off on it, and they think it'll do more business for them in the long run. Will it? I don't know. I don't think so, because Slammiversary will still be a higher-attended show than Bound for Glory, because Bound for Glory is in an arena that fits even less than UVS Arena did. So I just don't see that being the case. But they think it's going to work, so that's why they signed off on it. And as far as the invasion thing goes, I don't think we get an invasion. There's been a lot of talk about that. I think we get hopeful. I mean, if TNA does not show up, if no one from TNA shows up tonight, after they lost both of their top titles on Sunday, then the TNA people are just fucking dumb. And then I have no hope for the future of this storyline. Because if they're not even there to combat what happened, and they got screwed, why the fuck would they not be there to try to take their titles back? That just doesn't make sense to me. So, no, I don't think we get an invasion. We should. In a good invasion, not a poorly booked invasion, but I'm not optimistic. Last three questions come from @Iwagu91 from Twitter. His first question was, do you think that AJ Styles will have one more match in TNA, or was last night his last appearance in the promotion until his inevitable TNA Hall of Fame induction? I don't think AJ has one more TNA match. I just don't. Maybe I'm just erring on the side of caution because I don't want to get my hopes up for something that might not happen. But no, I do not see that happening. I think it'd be awesome if they advertised him for a match in Lowell at Bound for Glory, and then he gets inducted into the Hall of Fame that same night. The Hall of Fame thing, I wish he would get inducted, but I think he said last year that he would not want to get inducted while he was still active wrestling. Now, he is close enough to retirement that they might just wait a couple years. But I feel like it'd be cool if he was inducted while he was still active. They've done that with other people. Sting got inducted when he was still active in 2012. Kurt Angle got inducted when he was still active in 2013. Team 3D got inducted while they were still active in 2014. And I think they did that because they were leaving the company, but they didn't retire. And they're still fucking wrestling at Bound for Glory this year. They got inducted 11 years ago. 2015, I think, was Earl Hebner, and I think Jeff Jarrett as well, also still active. So, yeah, man, I don't really think that should matter, but that's his choice. I would love to see one more AJ match in TNA. It doesn't sound like it's going to happen. Based on the report from John Alba of Sports Illustrated, shout out to John, it wasn't said that the report said they didn't want to promise or tease a match that may not happen. So I feel like if they were more confident that it could happen, they would have teased a match. Like, oh yeah, we'll let him wrestle for sure. But right now they're not all that positive. So that tells me that they're not leaning in that direction. But I hope I'm wrong. His second question, your thoughts on Tom Hannafin, a.k.a. or formerly known as Tom Phillips. I think he's very good. I think WWE let a good one go when they fired him 4 years ago. He was a really good commentator. And like he could have been the next Michael Cole. I don't really know. I look at WWE. I'm not sure they have the next Michael Cole. Pat McAfee's a color guy. He's gone right now anyway. Corey Graves is great. He's a color guy. He's not a play-by-play guy. Although he did do play-by-play with Wade Barrett on SmackDown, I think, last year. Corey Graves is not the next Michael Cole. He's probably more of like a Bobby the Brain Heenan than a Michael Cole or a Jesse Ventura, rather. And then SmackDown, you have Wade Barrett, who's a color guy. And they have Joe Tessitore, who's great. Joe Tessitore is great. He has a sports background. Joe Tess is probably the next Michael Cole, to be honest. But Tom Hannafin was a homegrown guy. Like, Joe Tess came from other sports. Tom Hannafin was a legit wrestling fan, I think, going into WWE and was there for so long. Covered all the brands. He was always very reliable. He had a good voice for it. And they let him go. At least he's being utilized, though, in TNA now. He's a great voice for TNA, so I will say that. And then the last question here, your thoughts on SummerSlam now being a 2-night event like WrestleMania. I'm personally not a fan of it. I just think that they could be doing just one night and then make that one night matter. I don't love the idea of 2 nights. I really only think Mania should be 2 nights. But maybe we'll go to a 2-night SummerSlam this year and I won't regret it. Maybe they're shorter shows both nights and we get 2 great shows out of it. It does allow more people to be on the show. Like, if you look at the card right now, AJ and Dom would not be at SummerSlam. If this was a one-night card, that would not be at SummerSlam. The women's tag title match would probably not be at SummerSlam. And a few other matches probably as well. So, it benefits the talent. I think we get more good matches out of it. I just know that they're going to see the success of a 2-night SummerSlam money-wise and tickets-wise and whatever. And they're going to be like, oh, we got to do this with the Rumble. We got to do this with Survivor Series. We got to do this with Money in the Bank. We got to do this with fucking Crown Jewel. Like, no, not everything has to be 2 nights. It works because it's Mania, because it's the biggest show of the year. But without all the pomp and circumstance and all this other bullshit, which SummerSlam largely usually does not have, I just don't know if it works as well. I am personally not a fan, but that doesn't mean the show can't still be good. I am optimistic it will be a good SummerSlam. Last year's SummerSlam I thought was great overall, a very strong show. SummerSlam the years before that were very much mixed bags. But I think a 2-night SummerSlam could work. With the right execution, if the shows are not 4 hours each night and they can keep them to like 3, it spreads the fun, gets more people on the show, and hopefully it gets more matches on the card that belong in the card. Because in years past, it would be like, how did Becky Lynch not make the card? How did this person not make the card? Well, they want to do a 7-match card and not do fucking 16 matches. There's a happy medium there. You can do like 8 matches and try to get as many people on the card as possible. Like LA Knight, even on a 2-night SummerSlam, will very likely not make SummerSlam. And that sucks. But there's nothing for him that makes sense right now, and you have to prioritize certain people on certain shows. He had his SummerSlam moment last year and the year before. He has to be left off this year. There's just nothing for him to do. Jey Uso, one of the most popular people in the company, even at that point a year ago, was not at SummerSlam last year. Some people just inevitably get left off. There's a better chance of getting included, though, when there's 2 nights. So, has its pros and cons. I think it'll work out this year, but I just really do not want 2-night Rumbles and 2-night Survivor Series and War Games and stuff like that. That's more so what I'm worried about than just the 2-night SummerSlam. All right, so those are all the pre-scheduled questions. Let's go back to the chat here. See what you guys are saying before we wind down here in a little bit. We are over 2 hours in, 2 hours and 16 minutes. That's crazy. Let's see. Richie said, I think Mr. Iguana buried himself by saying he got signed or whatever the hell. Yeah, did he just ride that wave too much by saying that, like, oh yeah, I'm with WWE, and he actually wasn't or whatever? That'd be pretty fucking stupid. He got the Rusev emoji in the chat, did Richie? Rusev Day. He did not win last night, but I did think he had a good match with Sheamus on Raw. Daniel said, yeah, firing Scott D'Amore was a huge blunder. I mean, TNA's recovered creatively, but He was like the face of TNA. He was such a cheerleader for that company, and I'm not really sure why they let him go. I agree also with Fernando. Firing Gail Kim was also a huge mistake. Yeah, a big blow to that Knockouts division to not have her behind the scenes advocating for the women. What we got on Sunday may not have happened if she was still there. Let's just say that. Daniel said, it's funny because when they rebranded to Impact Wrestling, I never stopped calling them TNA. I just then understood the folks who never stopped saying WWF. Yeah, I called it Impact. I thought the TNA initials were dumb because it obviously stands for total non-stop action, but you know that Vince Russo did that because it sounds like TNA, like tits and ass. So I always hated the initials, and TNA had a certain stench around it for so long and potentially still does for different reasons. But I just thought it was dumb that they brought it back because it's like you spent so long trying to move away from the TNA initials. Why bring them back? But there was such a vibe around those initials that I can see why they would want to bring it back. I kind of get it. Honestly, in retrospect, so. And it may have worked out because people will always know it as TNA. Richie said, JC Jane, you're not that guy, pal. You're not that guy. I agree. Holy shit, hold on a second. Wait. Oh no, Ozzy Osbourne passed away? Oh fuck. I gotta check up on this. Hold on. Did he pass away? Checking Twitter. I'm checking Twitter. Hold on. Devon lost 85 pounds with the help of Diamond Dallas Page. That's crazy. Yeah, no, he did. Wow. That's really sad. That's crazy. I'm seeing now from @PopCrave on Twitter, Ozzy Osbourne has passed away at the age of 76. Damn, that sucks. Legend. Wasn't he just on WWE television not that long ago? Because he had the theme, obviously the War Games song, but like he was also one of the other songs for SummerSlam or for Survivor Series. I think in 2022. Yeah, that sucks. Ozzy Osbourne, man, what an absolute icon. I don't know if he was doing well health-wise because I think he just like canceled a bunch of shows. Man, that's a bummer. Rip Ozzy Osbourne. Eric said, didn't Four Rope beat TNA Team 2? Yes, they did. Enzo scored the win for his team, which is fucking terrible, by the way. Enzo sucks. I'm sorry. Yeah, that Four Rope shit on the pre-show was just a waste of time. Richie said, damn, Ozzy knew. That's crazy. Literally weeks removed from that concert. So what happened with Ozzy? Like I said, I think they canceled his tour or something, right? Was he not on a... Did he not have a did he say on the concert recently that he was on his, like he was sick or something? What happened? Definitely let me know. Yeah, Daniel said Ozzy Osbourne today, Malcolm Jamal Warner yesterday. Yeah, I wasn't familiar with him, but I guess he was from the Cosby Show. And I heard today from Solomonster, he said in his Raw review last night that I guess he passed away because he drowned while he was on vacation in Costa Rica. That's just fucking terrible. And he was a lot younger too. He was like 50-something. That's just sad. Daniel said, Deal or No Deal was my show. Jelly Roll over JC Jane, Richie says. Honestly, might be. Jelly Roll could easily get 6 stars in the Tokyo Dome. I might agree with that. Eric said, why does my stream keep crashing? I do not know. Might have to restart it. You also said, I just had lunch, Eric said. I have to eat after this, so I'm going to head on out of here in a few moments. Or in a few minutes, but depends how long the chat goes for. I guess we'll see. Let's see. Richie said his last song being Mama, I'm Coming Home was definitely him letting us know. Was that his last song? That's crazy. That is indeed sad. I agree, Alexis. I mean, Ayo, oh no, anyway. Ahmed said, Graham, what up? SummerSlam 2023 was a bore fest. Ahmed, what's going on, brother? I know you're aren't you from Minneapolis? I wasn't in Minneapolis. They're in Minneapolis next year for SummerSlam. They were in Detroit 2 years ago. I was at that show. There were parts of the show that I liked. I liked Logan Paul and Ricochet. I thought the main event was not great. I liked it more than most people, but it was not great at all. Shayna and Ronda was fucking boring. I honestly feel like that match killed that card. Literally, I feel like that match like really killed the crowd for a good portion of the show. Gunther and Drew I liked. I thought they had a good match. Not an amazing match, but a good match. Yeah, SummerSlam 2023 was kind of a mixed bag. Ahmed said, Graham, I'm not liking the WWE-TNA partnership. Both Trick and JC Jane, both WWE stars, won their respective matches. I wish they gave the title to Mike Santana. I agree. That's all we've been talking about all episode long is how I like the partnership personally. It has worked out really well. But the decision to give both of their top titles to WWE stars on Sunday's Slammiversary show, definitely not ideal. Daniel said, I feel like I'm alone on this JC Jane island. There's other people that really like JC Jane. You're not alone, but it's definitely not a big island. Let's put it that way. Daniel said, I'm going to play Crazy Train later today. Yeah. Crazy Train's a classic. There were a few Ozzy Osbourne songs I had like downloaded on my phone. The song that he did for Survivor Series 2022, I forgot the name of the song. That was a great theme song, though. It was one of his newer songs, but the theme song he did for that pay-per-view was great. Crazy Train's obviously probably the most prolific song. Black Sabbath, obviously a lot of great songs, including the War Pig song, the War Game song they use every year. There was another song I had by him, too, I thought. Oh, man, let me check. I had another. I'll give you an Ozzy Osbourne recommendation here. It was a song that I've had for probably, I don't know, probably the last like 15 years now. Let me see. Ozzy, let me see. OZ? Do I not have Ozzy Osbourne on my phone? I don't think I do. I guess not. I thought he had an Ozzy Osbourne song on my phone. I'm looking at my artist, and I don't see Ozzy Osbourne. Black Sabbath, maybe? Let me see. I'm not seeing that. Yeah. I thought there was definitely another Ozzy Osbourne song that I really, really liked that I'm not finding here for some reason. I'm just looking at my phone real quick. Maybe it's not on here. I don't know. I'll have to look it up later. But I thought there was another really good Ozzy song that I had on here that I'm just not thinking of. I don't know. But he had a lot of great music. Let's put it that way. 80 pounds is great. I heard DDP on TikTok that not only were the workouts grueling, but Devon's diet consisted of 4 tables. Richie got me with that one. It consisted of tables 4 times a day. Yeah, especially when you're being put through those tables by Bully Ray. That'll definitely add up over time. Parasite, Graham. Oh, yeah, Ahmed said the song was called Parasite. Yes, that was the name of the song from Survivor Series 2022. Thank you. War Pigs was the name of the song. Thank you, Noob and Ahmed. Richie said, Ozzy had a farewell tour a few short weeks back. He's been battling Parkinson's. Oh, I didn't know that. I know his health has been on the decline for a while, but I didn't know that specifically. Richie also said his health has been on the decline, so I guess Ozzy knew his time was coming and decided to hold that final farewell show. That's crazy. Well, good for him. Daniel said, yeah, Cosby is a piece of shit, but that Cosby show is still an all-time goated show. Yeah, I haven't really watched a whole lot of the Cosby show, but yeah, it is tough that Cosby being just a terrible person really hurt that show because that show is him. Like, it's the Cosby show. But there were a lot of other entertaining aspects of the show and other great actors on the show that deserve their attention and love and admiration as well. Maria said, who do you think should be the one to take the title from Timeless Tony? I would say Athena. I mean, I was going with Athena to beat Mercedes, but at this point, she's got the title shot for Tony's title. It should be Athena that beats Tony. So I'm going to say Athena. Maria said Theo Huxtable was my favorite character on The Cosby Show. I Want to Stop. Was that? Yes. How did you know that, noob? How did you know that? How did you know that was the song? It is I Want to Stop. I love the I Want to Stop. That was the song I was thinking of. Let me see if I can find it on my phone, unless it's not on here anymore. I still have like the fucking... I'm not on Spotify. I'm on the like the music downloaded on my phone. I Want to Stop's a great song, but I don't know why it's not here. It is not on my phone anymore, and I don't know why. Is it called I Want to Stop and not just Want to Stop or something? Let me see. No, it's not in here. It's not on my phone for some reason. That is very strange, and I don't know why. I Want to Stop is a great song, though. That was the other one I was thinking of. I Want to Stop. That is my Ozzy Osbourne, like the top 4 Ozzy Osbourne songs that I know. War Pigs, Parasite, Crazy Train, and I Want to Stop. That's my top 4. I didn't realize the War Games song was Ozzy, Daniel says. Yeah, well, I mean, it is and it's not. It's Black Sabbath. It's not just Ozzy. But it is Ozzy he did do the song. Took part in the song. Richie said T-Pain did a great cover of War Pigs a few short years ago. I feel like I have heard it because I feel like WWE used it and I don't know if I liked it. I got to go back and check it out. I'll check it out after we're done here. Maria said, do you think that was a real bat that he bit into back in the day? Talking about Ozzy Osbourne? I don't know what you're talking about. That definitely was a real bat, Richie said. I don't know what you guys are referring to with Ozzy Osbourne. I'm not aware of the bit or whatever you guys are talking about. And Noob also said, I Don't Want to Stop. That's the name of the song. Yeah, no, I looked it up where it would be under in my phone, like the I section, and it's not there. Maybe it's under D? Well, I looked up Stop, and it wasn't there either. Let me see. I don't know why it's not there, to be honest. I don't think it's under D either. Don't Want to Stop. No, I got Don't Stop the Devil. Don't Question My Heart, ECW theme. Yeah, no, I don't have it on my song. I don't have it on my phone anymore. I don't know why. I got to re-download it or something. It's a great song. Richie said in reference to what I just said, Ozzy famously bit the head off of a bat in his prime years on stage. Holy shit, I did not know that. That's crazy. That sounds like something he would do, though. Definitely a real bat. I don't even know about that. I didn't even know about that until you just told me about it, but I would chalk that up to being a real thing. I could definitely believe that. All right, guys, we're going to wind down here. Thank you so much for joining, as always, live and sending in these great questions ahead of time and during the show. A lot of TNA talk here today. Crazy that we heard about Ozzy Osbourne here on the stream. So that is sad news. Rip Ozzy Osbourne, one of the greatest of all time. Yeah, Maria said he bit a bat head on stage. That's insane. Wait a second. Wait a second. I am mistaken. I am also an idiot. Are you saying an actual? I thought you meant a baseball bat. No one calls it the head of a bat, so that doesn't even make sense. I'm not really sure why I thought that. I'm thinking he bit a bat, like a wooden bat. You're talking like a fucking actual bat? That's disgusting. Holy shit. I did not know that. That is gross. I would also chalk that up to being real, by the way. That is fucking disgusting. God bless Ozzy Osbourne. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. As always, I appreciate it. This was a very enjoyable episode. A lot of great chatter here today. Rip Ozzy Osbourne once more. We found out here on the stream. But yeah, we'll shout out our channel members as we head on home here. Alexis, Miss Maud Matthews, Dillon DiGiacomo, Mrs. Renee, DJ Swerve 1, Daniel Malcolm, RJ Marceau, John Ritland, Real Honesty with John Ritland right here on YouTube. Richie, Red Planet Wrestling right here on YouTube as well. And Average Grunt. Thank you to our fine folks that support the channel via the $5 WrestleRant All Access Pass channel membership level. You too can become a channel member here today or at any point really, by checking out the link in the description box down below. You get top billing on shows like #AskGSM and WrestleRant Radio. If you have a question for #AskGSM or a comment or a topic that you want me to discuss on WrestleRant Radio, you got top billing with it. You get it answered or discussed before anyone else as a channel member on either show. You also get shout-outs at the beginning and end of every single live stream that we do here on the channel. You also get access to badges and emojis and the live chats, early and ad-free access, sometimes ad-free access to certain videos here on the channel before they go live for everyone else, and so much more. More information on that down below in the description box. You can also send in your questions for next week's episode, 609 right here on the channel, July 29th. You can do so by tweeting me on the Twitter machine at WrestleRant with the #AskGSM. Find me on Facebook as well, facebook.com/Graham.gsm.Matthews. Drop a comment on the post I usually put up on Tuesday nights, if not on the wall itself. And last but certainly not least, drop your question down below in the comment section on this very video, and I'll include your question in next week's edition. At the very least, be sure to like this video on the way out if you guys haven't already done so, if you're watching live or after the fact. Support the channel, support the show, like the video, would mean a lot, cost you nothing. And you can also subscribe to the channel to be notified for new content every single day here on the channel, or most days anyway. By hitting that bell button, you'll be notified. And you'll also be notified every single time we go live here on the channel, including the next time will be Thursday for WrestleRant Radio. Like I said at the start of this show, Mr. Marceau taking the week off. He is away right now on vacation. God bless him. Hope he's enjoying his week. But the show goes on. Thursday, WrestleRant Radio is back. Myself and a very special guest, a returning guest. His name is Tommy Bechtold, formerly of New Rock Stars, doing a lot of great stuff right now with Screen Crush, I believe, among other outlets. He's a stand-up comedian, very funny guy, longtime wrestling fan. He was on WrestleRant Radio with me and RJ 3 years ago for WrestleMania 38 predictions. Over video, by the way. That video is available here on the channel if you want to go back and check it out. I also interviewed him at 2 different points back in 2021. Those interviews also available here on the channel. But he returns to WrestleRant Radio this Thursday to help me host the show, talk about his thoughts on the current wrestling landscape and anything else that happens between now and then. And the next Thursday, like I said earlier, should be a live show, whether I'm here or I leave for New Jersey and do it from the hotel. I'm not quite sure yet, but that'll be next Thursday. RJ should be back by that point for SummerSlam predictions, a SummerSlam prediction panel. And that's it. That's all the housekeeping notes as we wind on down here. Yeah, Richie corrected me. It was indeed an animal. He allegedly thought it was a prop, bit the head off, realized it was real, and went to the hospital. That is fucking crazy. What a way to end. Was that like recently, or are you talking years ago? He did that recently? Man, that's nuts. W stream, W chat, Richie says. Daniel says, W stream Gwen. I am never going to leave that down. I'm never going to live that down ever. Richie even said, LOL, thank you, Cream. Yeah, those are my two new nicknames. Grunt says, take care, Gwen. Richie says, bye, Garrett. Bye, Cream. Alexis says, 1982 would happen. Richie said, okay. I'm getting all the fucking nicknames here today. Cream, Garrett, Gwen. What are the nicknames? Garrett, Cream, and Gwen. Yeah, years ago, Maria said. God damn. I will never live down those nicknames. I should have never said something, but guess what? Another new meme unlocked here on hashtag AskGSM. Till next time, guys, have an awesome rest of your Tuesday. Go see Fantastic Four this weekend. I'll have more thoughts on that spoiler-free review if you guys want to ask about it. Gwen, goodbye, Grandma, Maria says. I'll have my spoiler-free thoughts next week here on hashtag AskGSM, so stay tuned for that episode 609. And we'll be back on Thursday's WrestleRant Radio the next time that we're live here on the channel. But in the meantime, check out yesterday's edition of WrestleRant or Rave News Short on the TNA Slammiversary ending. Basically what I said here today, but support the show, support the channel, support the video by checking that out as well. Daniel said, did you also say Derek? I did, but Derek is one I prefer. The other ones were ones that I got called accidentally. My gimmick now is that when these food places ask for a name, I give them Derek because they can't fuck up Derek. Although a place that we were at recently wrote Derek with like D-E-R-E-C-K, which it's not my real name, so I don't give a fuck. But Graham, they never spell correctly. They either spell it without the second A or just G-R-A-M, like it's a measurement, or like grandma or whatever. Derek, it's kind of hard to fuck up. So honestly, if I hear Derek, I might answer to it. I'm still getting in the process. I'm not legally changing my name to Derek, but Derek GSM Matthews doesn't quite have the same ring to it as Graham GSM Matthews does. But I'm still getting in the habit of answering to Derek when they call out the food names, because they'll say Derek, and I'm like, oh, I forgot that's the name that I used. And they're probably thinking, why the fuck is he like not reacting to his own name? But anyway, I got to get on out of here. Have an awesome one, guys. Enjoy the rest of your week. I am Graham GSM Matthews, not Derek. Well, sometimes Derek. Cream, Garrett, whatever you want to call me, Gwen, Rip Ozzy Osbourne. I'll catch you guys down the road.